Hey, this is KG Sports, and you're watching Hot Facts with Robert Reese.
Guys like entertaining channels, and I don't try to promote drama. Some people will look at it drama. Some people will just look at it as the facts and reality. And a lot of what drama is, it is reality with certain people and how they present it. But go check out Hot Facts with Robert Reese. He has a really, really entertaining channel. Is very professional at what he does. You'll get a lot of good info and a lot of good laughs out of it to really make you see in the world how some people hide behind a computer screen, want to talk trash about others with complete false realities. But he is the type of guy that will bring reality and truth to his live streams. And he shuts a lot of people down. I mean, he shuts them down quick.
Early morning when I walk through the east, hear the cars on the 5, you can see in the street what this neighborhood means to a brother. So I'm headed down Santa Barbara for y'all to get the message. You need to see Kevin ride around in his Cutlass, well shooting hoops, but always ready to function. Slide to Alberta's for some grub Balboa. Always got the liquor on deck, don't need a soda. Then I'm walking down Mission, but I go against traffic. I know some people wanted me dead, the shit is tragic. Been out the way for a couple of months, but the shit still in me, I ain't never gonna front. If I leave my son at home, then it's way too high. Spot the opposition in a second of the cops. Something about the gang unit makes me do a double take, but I'm never slipping cause the streets got me wide awake. I'm gone, please don't reconsider your love for me. If I go now, body cold as winter, in this life I lead. Women always hitting me up because they want to cuff a nigga with potential. I'm calling they bluff. I never got attention like this in the past as a young gang member who was ready to blast. OPD only wanted me for me, ironically, and now everybody can see the changes that I made cause I ain't out running. Drunk off of E&J, I'm coming from nothing. I slept outside in the park trying to figure out how I'm still here on earth to work some figures out. Put my son to bed, kiss him on his forehead, walk around the city, heard another friend dead. All I could do is pray for the streets, cause God forbid one day it's gonna be me. Lord, take my soul when it's time to go. Until then, I'm trying to live my life on the low. When I'm gone, please don't reconsider your love for me. If I go now, body cold as winter, and it's like I leave when I'm gone.
Like, so why get personal with another person? So you don't have to be direct, like emotionally attached to whatever it is that you're trying to debate about. But yeah, somebody has.
Yo, but what's disrespectful today? Because I feel like everybody think everything is disrespectful. If you have an opinion, like
disagreeing is disrespectful.
Disagreeing is hating.
It's highly disrespectful. You cannot have an opposite opinion of somebody else. You have to agree with them.
So if the masses is saying yes, and then you want to go this way, you look crazy.
You look crazy.
Like, because we all saying it, but you see something different, and it's just like...
we looking at the same thing, you saying this, you want me to say what you saying, but if I don't, you like, man, what the fuck, this nigga's crazy.
So now you're a hater?
Yes.
Well, with some things, yes, but with certain things that's obvious, yeah. Like, you should be able to like look at something like, this cup is black.
Black, you know, because was it black and yellow? You know, somebody like, no, it's yellow and black.
Somebody might say, oh no,
it's more gray. No,
it's more like, I'm saying,
it's really white, but they spray painted over it.
Okay.
See?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. The fact that you know that this was white,
I know it's really white,
but then it turned black.
You think it's black, and I'm saying that's a white cup. You don't even know.
That's a bar. Intriguing.
And then you have people like,
that's a bar.
Yours fucking truly.
All right, y'all. Hot Facts with Robert Reese. I have to play that one right there because that statement is all the way true. It said, you know, you have to agree with everybody. You can't have your own opinion. If you are the person that watches something and you see it for what it is, and everybody else says this, and they're going to go against you. But what if you know from the very beginning about what it is? He said, what if it's really white, but they spray painted it black? People are just going to say, oh, it's already black. No, the actual thing is white. They spray painted it black. So when do you know when they spray painted it black? Now, if you go and speak that and say that to people, they're going to say, well, you're not telling the truth. You don't know what you're talking about. But in all actuality, you do, but you will come off sounding crazy. So I had to go ahead and put that out. Big shout out there to Bishop Snow. What's up, TFT? Big shout out there to Bishop Snow. This is a StreamYard on the vertical. So hopefully it is on the vertical. Let's see, put the Wi-Fi on. I got to go ahead and double check that. I got to see if the vertical is working on the StreamYard and working on the YouTube at the same time. Because when I did the vertical on YouTube, you know, you can only have one person. You can only have one person click in. And I want to see if the vertical is actually going to be working in on there so I can go ahead and get that done. But as you guys do see the topic of today's live, and I had a couple of situations that recently happened in front of me, and it was so crazy that I was like, no way am I seeing, you know, the immigrant problem really come in and hit. Like you think people are making up some things, but then you see what's going on, and then you're like, nah, it ain't that bad. It ain't that bad. But then now it actually is getting that bad. And I'll tell you, last night was one. And we're gonna start off with this. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe this stream. I may say some things that you just don't like because you want to sugarcoat and you don't want to just keep it real. Here on Hot Facts is the truth behind what you stand for. If you stand for it, stand on it and stay on it. Step aside or move along. Okay? That's how we roll here. Your opinion counts. Your opinion matters here. No one gets shut out for what they think. No one gets shut out for how they feel. Now, I have a Nightbot in there. There's certain things you just cannot type in and say. And I have moderators, and then my wife is always watching the chat also. So there are certain things that just cannot be said. And we got to make sure that we are being safe for the world, the nation, because we are a melting pot here. But when it comes down to this situation here, I'm going to say what I got to say, and I'm going to keep it way real. Make sure you go ahead and give me a thumbs up because we are about to go there. Are American jobs safe? Are we losing American jobs? Are American jobs for American people? All right. And then I saw a delivery driver couple, and they were both, you know, they were married. So they were, I'm not going to call them one. I'm going to call that two. And the other incident, it was two separate drivers. So these past situations here, make sure you're coming in. We got 11 people in so far. Make sure you go ahead and give that thing a thumbs up. All right, so American jobs, man. Now, I know that back in the day, people say, well, Americans, you guys are lazy. You guys are lazy. You don't want your jobs, and you don't want this. You don't want that. So, you know, that's why you see a lot of Hispanic landscapers and tree trimmers, and some of the best mechanics ever of all time is gonna be your Mexican homie's dad, his uncle or something. It ain't gonna be somebody like you. He'll go over there and fix that car, get it done at dirt cheap. You all the way good. So, yeah, see? And I'm going to tell you this. Some of the best things that you want to get done, you have to go to someone that's not American, even when it comes down to like legal work. A lot of the best legal work is coming from people that are not from here because they got to learn the laws all the way in and all the way out. And then they go ahead and help you out. They may charge you a pretty penny, but they go help you out and they go get it done. It's a lot of people who are not traditionally from this place who have those jobs. Look at doctors. You know, my best doctor, my kidney doctor, my kidney specialist, Dr. Hanan. My man is Indian. I've had majority in my life with my kidney disease, my heart condition, and everything else that I grew up with. I have had either an Indian or an Asian doctor. Now, I have had a few white doctors, and I've had a few Jewish people with the group, okay, that worked in the big group. My son, actually, for his heart surgeries, he had an American Dr. Gates. Dr. Gates invented the truncus arteriosus surgery, and he's the one that gave it to my son. So we had Dr. Gates there, but I'm getting my prescriptions filled, my mom getting her pain pills, everything else is coming from someone that typically is not all the way American. And they say, why? Well, you know, math and education in some of these other countries is way more important than what it is here. Okay. John said, I lived in Cali. I don't see any Americans in the fields picking lettuce or strawberries. That's what I'm saying right there. We have from picking strawberries in fields and working on stables for ranchers and horses and being in the hospitals and things like that and doing mechanical work, doing roofs, doing plumbing. It's a lot of Hispanic jobs that, you know, they're doing it, and they are competing equally with the American people there. Now, the Hispanics that came in and they have their own business and they did it legally. Oh yeah, we going straight to Junior's Auto Repair. Junior go hook me up. He gonna hook me up. He gonna do it right. They are competing with Americans, but they came here to do it right. All right. Now we have other jobs that Americans that we just won't do. Have you noticed that majority of the trash men in your area, the people that drive the trash trucks, they're Hispanic, or they may be African. You see Africans doing it, Hispanics doing it. And when I mean Hispanic, I mean from South America, Central America to Mexico. I'm talking about if you came from Puerto Rico, which is now ours, but if you came from Cuba, if you came from anywhere where you speak Spanish, they get over here and they go bust that ass open and go and get it in. You see them at 7-Elevens getting a hot dog and putting every single ingredient on the hot dog. They're like, well, who does that? The nigga that's finna go in there and get all that work done. He makes sure his hot dog got every ingredient on it. He'll get 2 of them. He'll get a thing of water, a Gatorade, and a 6-pack of beer. And guess what's gonna happen? The best work of all time is gonna happen. The best work of all time is going to happen when he does that. Now, we got a lot of Americans that get mad and say that Americans, you know, we don't have jobs, and the jobs that are supposed to be ours, we don't have. So now we gotta talk about this. We gotta talk about this now. Make sure you hit that thumbs up. We gotta talk about this now. Are Americans losing our jobs because other countries are coming in and taking them? Or are Americans losing the jobs that we have because Americans are lazy and pathetic? Let's go ahead and keep it real. Let's keep it funkier. Let's keep it funkier than a donkey who's rolling in a pile of shit and stopping all the cars from going down the street. Because I've seen that done and made a video about it. That's real talk. There's a lot of people that get up here and say, oh, let's blame this. Let's blame them for taking our jobs. You guys are the ones that voted to take away majority of the trade schools that Americans have put in our system so that you get a job. Well, you go through trade school. You're going to be a mechanic, a woodworker, a craftsman. You're going to do carpentry. You're going to do engineering, electrician work. You went to a trade to get that. So right when you were done out of high school, you went into a job to where you like, dang, this is okay. We go ahead and get this, start these business stuff. You guys voted to take that stuff away. So if you guys vote to take away what the real interest of what Americans say we need, it's not the other country's fault. And it can't be. It cannot be their fault. And if it is their fault, how and why? You have the ability to keep these things in school, the home ec and all this stuff, so that you have more chefs, more American people doing the jobs. But now, you guys say, let's take them away. Let's start to go into, even though it's going to happen, and it is happening, technology. Technology. You go into that. But before that, we even had majority of the girls, when they were going to graduate high school, they said, what are you going to do when you graduate? I'm going to go to nursing school. I'm going to go to cosmetology school. And that's what they did. And that's why you see majority of the nurses are women. You got some men, but it was set up because from home economics, it was set up here in America. You're either going to be a woman that can run the household and learn how to do it financially and help out and do stuff like that. Then it went into the women that do that partially, who want to go out there to get jobs. Then it went out to the women who just want to be career women. We got women in tech, so it still works hand in hand. In a way, it still works like that. You had it so the woman was going to want to be in the home to take care of the home or take care of someone else who was injured or sick, and you get paid good money for that. And when they came back home, they were good caretakers of everything you needed inside the house. I grew up with a friend, Shonda Berg, Mormon. His dad was the bishop and his mom was a nurse. Inside their house, do you know how many scrapes and bruises we got? And his mom will go ahead and take care of us right there in the house. Ingrown toenails, she'll go and do it right in the house, pull them out, do all this stuff, stitch you up and everything right in the house. Right in the house. Your parents will go ahead and chip them off because they're like, oh, they took care of you? Go ahead and chip them on off some. And it was way cheaper than going to the doctor because she actually is one. And the work was blessed by God. By God Almighty. Can somebody give me a thumbs up on this one? Americans have taken our own jobs out, so now that the only jobs there are the ones that you guys say you don't want to do, and then you blame these people for wanting to do it. You want to own the ranch. You want workers on your ranch. You don't even go brush your horse's back. You got someone that's from a different country that goes and brushes your horse's back, goes ahead and feeds all your cattle. They know what's going on with your stuff. You even gave up that responsibility. Remember they said being a cowboy, they tried to make it an American thing, but when they came over, they was like, dang, they doing ranchero work all the way in Mexico and everything. We ain't the only cowboys. Y'all already knew you was going to be in competition for that shit, and y'all gave it all away. Why you think when you go to a spot where the ranchers are, the Hispanics got the trucks out there, the food trucks, they doing Santa Maria tri-tip, they cooking, they making they little pot chilies and stuff, and guess who coming down to eat it? The Americans who don't even want to get down there and do that shit, but now y'all got something to say because y'all say, well, those jobs are gone. Well, you guys want to be the best country in the world? You let everybody in here. Some of the smartest people in math and physics and everything come from other countries. What do? They end up coming here, getting the jobs, and they are the professors. They are the professors. I can say that for my kinesiology program at Irvine Valley College there, my kinesiology program, I was instructed by Simon Davies. Simon Davies is from the UK, British man. Jovan Stovanowski, my man is from one of those stand countries. I don't know which one exactly. He's from one of those stand countries. I forgot. Kit Modell was actually American. His assistant, the lady who assisted him in his class was from Germany. I had one American who taught me going through my kinesiology program. One American taught me going through my kinesiology program. I was taught by someone else in a different country. Now, at the time, wasn't nobody tripping about it. But now that these jobs are all going to where they are, people want to blame it on everybody else. Well, how come you just let that job go away? Then they say, oh, well, it was affirmative action. We got to let blacks get the jobs. It went from the blacks getting the jobs that we have, and it shouldn't be for the blacks. The blacks got to go ahead and get the jobs over us white folk. No, now what you see is more Americans wanted to work in America. Even tried to stop that, so it was a battle for those jobs. Now, when that battle starts, you now have, you said my audio? Okay. Now we got a battle. We got a battle between white Americans, blacks. Then we have a thing with white Americans with the blacks and Mexicans, the Hispanics. Now that beef is there. Now while we are fighting over our job, guess who's coming in the right way to be legal immigrants, to be legal, not illegal. They like, these motherfuckers over here fighting like that? Watch me go and swoop up this job real quick. And y'all be mad, well, why does Mr. Sanchez, how has he worked for this place for 30 years? Well, while y'all was fighting over segregation and shit, he found somebody that would hire him because he went ahead and got in here legally. So now he hires more of his people because he know they need jobs and he gonna set them up. America, our jobs, it's our fault for a lot of it. You can't get mad when you vote for things that take our jobs away. If you vote for things to take our jobs away, and you know that you have kids that will be going through school, to where you know education, get your education, you go to school, you learn these things, you get out, you either go to a university, you go to a junior college, or you go straight to a trade, or you go straight to work. The kids now don't even have that. The kids now don't even have that. Now these kids got to figure out, dang, am I going to be a gamer? Am I going to be a PC gamer, a YouTube, PlayStation gamer? Am I going to be a gamer? Is that what I'm going to be? Am I going to go do pranks in stores to get people to watch my stuff? Am I going to keep up with the trends to do dances on TikTok? Is that what I'm going to be? And not learn nothing? Are these the jobs that they say we can only do in America? Are these the jobs? You can only be a basketball player, football player, baseball player. You can only do that. But then again, what's going on is we have people that from other countries, they're coming in and we're expanding. So most of those jobs now that were all 500 jobs that were meant for U.S. players, now you're getting a whole bunch coming in from everywhere else. And the business that they set up with these countries, it's allowing them to go ahead to come on in here. And now because of the deals, now when these deals come in, you're like, why getting a big wave of people coming in? Look around. Look what's going on. Now, back in the day, the Dorothy Dandridge thing and all that, it was about fight. Remember that back in the day, people? The greaser days, you have to fight. You have to fight and fight and fight to keep yours. Now, if you don't fight and keep yours and you're voting for shit that takes shit away, and then you realize later, I shouldn't have did that. Look at where it is now. Well, whose fault is it? It's not the immigrants' fault for them looking to see where you are slipping for it to go ahead and get in the cracks. If I was them, I would do the exact same thing. You don't want the job. You don't want that money. I'm going to go in there and get it. I'm going to go ahead and get that job. You don't want it. I'm going to take it. Now you get mad because they getting it. Well, why don't you go ahead and start voting for the right stuff and take that shit back for us Americans? You know why you can't get it back? Because you gave up too much of your capital. You guys will look like freaking idiots going to a dinner with your friends, and now you're talking about, well, you want it like this now. You're going to end your friendship. You're going to end the booster program money coming in for your kids in the school. You're going to lose all this stuff. That's what's going to happen. Jeff Thomas Black, I'm glad you stepped on in. How you doing, brother? How you doing?
Well, all right. I'm taking it one moment at a time because that's the world we live in. So there's some things you're saying a lot of truth, Robert, and I think you're also saying a lot of things that are parts of the illusion of an American dream that doesn't exist anymore if it ever existed. So number one, I'm going to say unequivocally, statistically, academically, and to all known knowledge, our votes have no impact on policy, right? Who we vote for, red team or blue team, any party, third party or no party, or whether we don't vote at all, the policy marches along without us because money is speech and power and they've got it and we don't. So part of voting is the idea that we will turn against each other in arguments while the rich people run the world wars and run us with money that makes money, and we do labor. But here's the problem, Robert. labor no longer exists as a commodity in the world. Marketable commodities are give all blacks jobs now. I'm very pro black jobs and labor, particularly for me, and I'm not going to get a job, Robert. Nobody's going to give me a job or housing or livable situation in any way, shape, or form, because that is not part of the American dream. And I, as a person who did not play ball in the corporate world, must be genocided. I'm no longer even, I no longer can even apply for the American dream. That is not allowed for someone like me. And it's not allowed for any of us, because they're lying to us. Anybody that thinks they're out making 25 or 50 or even $100 an hour, which none of us are doing, that thinks that they're getting the value for their labor, is just lying to themselves. Money is almost worthless now. Look at the people in Asheville, North Carolina, the people that are just being left to fend for themselves in the wake of horrific natural disaster, to know that your government's not going to come take care of you. And if they do,
Jeff went mute, huh? Can you guys hear Jeff? Jeff went mute, huh? Jeff, you went mute. Can you guys hear Jeff? Jeff, you went mute. All right, Jeff went mute, y'all. Let me try to unmute him to see. Jeff, you went mute. All right, Jeff went mute. Jeff went. Jeff went mute. Jeff, you gotta. Can someone write in the chat, Jeff? Okay. Let me go put TFT this that. Okay. Thank you, Sam Lee. Thank you, TFT. Jeff went mute. We can't hear him. Jeff, look at your screen. You went mute. You went mute. No audio, Jeff. Hulk Hogan, can't hear you. You got Tommy's. Can't hear you, Jeff. All right, so Jeff, go out, come back in. All right, so Jeff's gonna go out and come back in, y'all. Thank you guys for that help. TFT, Sam Lee. Someone in the chat said my son went to trade school, IT, 21 years old, and he's making bank. Now you do know why the IT people are making money now. All right, the IT people are making money because of this.
Yeah,
look at this dumbass car.
Everything that seemed to work before doesn't work anymore.
Oh yeah. Let me explain this here really quick. For the comment really quick. The IT people are making money now, people, because of, and they're doing it in its competitions to go abroad or do it here. But I'm Microsoft Gold certified, and I was a salesman for a company that helps other companies get started up. And you want to put these companies on what is called a managed service agreement, okay? So that you don't have IT sitting around the office and waiting for the computers and stuff to go down. These people work from their house. They are able to patch in from where they are to make sure that you have no downtime. The object is to mitigate all the downtime that you will receive, and they get paid big bucks by doing that. Now, a lot of that work now, the corporations are outsourcing it, and it's being ran in India, as you know, with DoorDash and Uber Eats. It's a third party that's doing all the stuff, that's doing the calls, and these people also are working the IT stuff from other countries. So when we're normally sleep here, they outsource because someone's time zone where they are awake and they can still handle it for that company. So there you go there. Jeff is back. Pick up where you left off, Jeff.
Well, so I'm not sure where I got lost, but what you're talking about, Robert, is called outsourcing. And that's one of the reasons we have no living wage jobs, is that phone support, that tech support that is now outsourced to somebody that can be sitting at a desktop anywhere on planet Earth. Well, those used to be local jobs. When I worked in the software industry, we had support agents that filled the offices of Longmont, Colorado. And all those support agents trained their replacements who were recent college graduates from Southeast Asia, from India, primarily because we had an office in Hyderabad. And so the new graduates would come over and get trained by the American support agents. They would take the American support agent's job, and then they'd lay off the support agents. That's why all the jobs are gone, Robert. And we cannot, I'm not sure where my audio cut out. I have no idea if you heard part or any part of what I said. But we can't vote for jobs. We can't vote for peace. The red team and blue team do not listen to us. Money is speech and power. We don't have it. They do. And our labor is no longer significant in this world to them. They have our data. There is no money supply in our consumer middle class. We don't have any money anymore, so they no longer have any use for us. And so what we're doing as we go to labor every day in this physical world, they're making exponential growth and planning for the future when we don't exist as living beings, because that's what they think the future is. They think we're a lost cause and there's no money to be made off humanity anymore. There's a total disconnect, Robert, between our need to just go day to day and live and survive and their desire to only make exponential returns for their money and power. And they're willing to have World War III and kill all of us to do it. And nobody, if you look at Appalachia, if war casualties and things start happening here in the United States and disasters all over the place, what federal government is going to come help us? Probably the same one that is doing nothing for the people that are dying in Appalachia right now. That's what's going to happen. So don't think that they're offering us some safety net for our slavery, because they're not. Don't think that your vote will change their policy, because all academics and all statistical analyses for decades running show that your vote has no impact on policy. It divides you from your family. It divides us from each other. I don't care what your politics are. I want you and your kids to be alive. That's my policy. That's my politics. I would think you and your kids and all refugees and all people everywhere deserve to be alive on planet Earth and have the right to exist. That's my policy.
Yeah.
You can't vote for that policy, Robert. That's not a policy you can vote for.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. But when you're thinking about life, you know what I mean? It seems like that should be number one. You want your people, you want your kids, it should be number one. Like they have these unwritten rules in sports where you can't blow out the other team, start running the football if you guys are just up. The NBA, start subbing in your people and just pass the ball around. You know what I mean? To help save someone else. To save their image, and they say for morality and things like that. Well, if you transfer that into regular life for us with these jobs and everything, why aren't we having these things guaranteed and set up so that everyone can be okay? Why is it that someone always is trying to point out the misuse of funds and the misuse of this and this and that?
Because we are at the very end of a very long Ponzi scheme. And what happens with any Ponzi scheme, the math doesn't add up. You go to a certain point where there are not enough human bodies left on Earth to continue to feed the criminal scheme. What we are victims of, our housing market, which is inflated 10 to 20 times what it should be, our currency, which is now heading into hyperinflation, even though we don't have any, our labor, which is now worthless. What we have been walked into is an unsurvivable mathematical situation, yet we're being gaslighted by an empire and by our own idea of American exceptionalism that we should be able to make it. We should be able to make this dream come true. But the fact is, Robert, we're at the end of a Ponzi scheme and there aren't enough of us. There aren't enough hours in the day and there isn't enough labor for us to make enough money to survive. And so there's a disconnect between the absolute fact of our present moment reality and the idea of American exceptionalism, which is that we're all going to survive and thrive together under some nationalistic theocracy or philosophy. And that simply isn't true. The rich ran away with the money And the reason it's crashing, Robert, the reason the money isn't here is they've given up on us. They're no longer on our team. They no longer share the common interest with the survival of people in Northern California, or the survival of people in Oregon, or the survival of people in North Carolina and Appalachia. They don't care about our survival anymore. And as Melody Wright, an economist, wrote today, who lives in the disaster area of the hurricane, it's a terrifying thing to be helpless and realize that nobody is coming to help you. Nobody is coming to help you. And in fact, the authorities turned away people that showed up and wanted to help, and threatened to arrest people, and got in the way of people providing support and help to people that are literally dying. Right? So what we have to look at, like all other things, is behavior, not pretty words. Right? If you're married to somebody who punches you in the teeth and says, "Baby, I love you," you need to look at their behavior, not their pretty words. If you're married to somebody that loves you and treats you well, then you might be married to somebody who you can trust. But if you're married to somebody who tells you pretty words and how much they love you, while they steal from you and punch you in the mouth and abandon you when you're in crisis, you really need to consider whether you just might have an attachment, a trauma bonding, and you might be the victim of narcissistic abuse. And my argument for a while here, Robert, is that we're all victims of narcissistic abuse from this empire, and we're getting punched in the mouth and kicked in the balls and stolen from and abused in every way, shape, and form without a fair justice system. We got cops shooting unarmed people in the streets, no consequences. The military-industrial complex and our cops have the monopoly on violence, and we're not even allowed to tell them we don't think they should kill us, or we don't think they should kill innocent people. We don't have that power. This is really, really far gone, and these are not the people that are going to save us. We're only going to save ourselves if we stop giving them our votes, stop giving them our manufactured consent, stop giving them the authority of some nationalistic concept, which is totally outdated. Because we and these immigrants, whoever they are, and these refugees, whoever they are all on the same team of humanity who wants to survive. These borders serve wars and oligarchs. They don't serve you. You don't get residuals from the empire. They're taking it all. They're taking all the spoils of the empire. They're not bringing them home to you. And they're blowing up the world, setting fire to planet Earth and blowing up people all over the world while they're telling you to watch your environment and recycle.
Well, what should Americans do, Jeff? Jeff, what should Americans do? Because, you know,
we can stop serving corporate America. We have to stop being slaves.
Jeff?
We have to stop being slaves.
Well, when I'm out in public, Jeff,
corporate America owns us, owns our government, and owns everything. Corporate America, corporate fascism owns everything. We have to turn them off. We have to stop being slaves.
But what I'm saying is, when I'm out, if I'm standing in line to go buy something for myself, or if I'm getting a car wash and I get into a conversation, or if I eavesdrop, a lot of what people are talking about is we have no jobs for us Americans. So now we gotta try to figure out what type of solution.
There will never be jobs. Robert, listen to me. The people that have capital and corporations do not have an obligation to give you work.
What type of solution?
Have the obligation to give us employment or money of any kind. They can just take it and keep.
I gotta mute you really quick, Jeff. I want to get this one out. What type of solutions or things out there can Americans do? Like, all right, let's use this opportunity for we know what you're saying, but we got people here that say we still live here. So let's brainstorm. What type of, and I know you're one of the most educated men that can actually break this down and to go into these avenues. What type of solutions can the common American do to help fix what's already been put in to break like this? Like, you know, what can the common American do to help themselves? Let me unmute you.
Turn off corporate fascism. I mean, as long as we are slaves of their money supply and slaves of their corporations, and no, TFT, you're not correct. There are not jobs and people just don't want to work. When a job doesn't pay you enough to support your family and your housing and your medical care and your food, it's not a job, it's just slavery. And what they're offering us now for the economy that we have is slavery. They're not offering us jobs. There are no jobs. There is not any job I can get that I am aware of on this entire planet Earth that will give you me enough money to live with any housing or human dignity right now. And anyone that wants to prove me wrong can just offer me a job and I'll just come out and see you tomorrow and we'll just make that job come true, right? So I'm calling your bluff, first of all, TFT. There is not a job that is going to pay me enough to survive. And if there's not a job that's going to pay me enough to survive, then there's no jobs. That's just slavery.
Okay, he says jobs are. There we go.
Me no good. It does me no good to even if I could get a job for $20 an hour, and nobody will hire me for a job for $20 an hour. $20 an hour is not enough to get me housed, fed, or in any type of situation with human dignity. So it's not a real job. It's just slave work.
I got something with that right there about the money, because here in America, people come here and money is so crazy all around the world that money has its own value all around the world. Like I can go to like Vietnam and for like $100, it's like it's like in the millions of what it is there. So we got to start to place value on money, and what is the real value of money?
Well, that's
what is fair for people.
That's what borders are for. Borders are so that we are not allowed to live like rich people and enjoy the fruits of the world. Only rich people are allowed to enjoy the fruits of the world because rich people can travel to Vietnam where you get more for your dollar. You see the difference, Robert? This is all created so that rich people can get over. This is not created for you to enjoy the spoils of the world. It's created so the 1% can enjoy the spoils of the world. Now, TFT is asking what my definition of survival is. TFT, I do not, nor does anyone else, define human survival. We all know what human survival is because it's part of the natural condition of our species. Survival includes food, housing, shelter, community, and a social safety net for people that are too old or too young or too weak or too sick or too anything to be able to survive on their own. So that's what a society is, and that is not what we have. We have people starving to death and dying on the street right now. I guarantee you that within less than 5 minutes, Robert Reese could go find somebody dying on the street. I bet you within less than 5 minutes, Robert Reese could go find me a human being that is dying on the street in his local area. What do you think, Robert? Could you do it?
I mean, there's drug addicts and crackheads all over the place, so that would be very easy to do.
They're dying. They're dying, and they're dying. Listen, there's a reason people on the street are drug addicts and crackheads. You said you can't go to sleep at night. You got to stay awake all night because at night somebody's going to murder you or steal all your shit. So you stay awake all night on drugs, and then during the day you can take your naps and whatever else. And then you're also, of course, in terrible psychological pain because the nation you grew up in and played by the rules in, and the family that you grew up in and loved, they all turned their back on you, and you're now going to die on the street. So taking drugs is not that irrational.
Now, we got to talk about, this survival thing. We have people that say, well, I have this job, I make enough, and I am able to survive. Now you're saying, Jeff, that even though you're saying you were surviving, I'm telling you that you are not really surviving because you're still stuck in his web. Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, look, if $21 an hour wherever that individual lives will support their life, that's not a big city because $21 an hour would not even have you housed in Portland, Oregon. You would be a homeless person, right? I mean, unless you're living in multi-person housing, like your shared housing, shared situations. But this is, are we talking about the worst possible minimum wage labor available in the United States? Are we talking about labor with dignity through which people could build a life and have a family and take a vacation once a year or live with any type of basic elements of life. And so that's nice, TFT, that a guy can in a population of 500,000 can make it on $21 an hour. That's not reality for most of this nation. And $21 an hour is a terribly pathetic wage, even for some town of 600,000, right? And the other problem is all of us spread out all over this huge nation, all of us can only work within a few miles of where we live, right? So if $21 is available somewhere, it only is reasonable if you can get to it and if you can live by it, right? I can't work in a $21 hour job in Little Rock, Arkansas, because I'm in Oregon. So a $21 an hour job that might let me live in Arkansas is of no value to me. And so anyway, the idea that immigrants and refugees and us people, poor people starving to death in slavery, in corporate fascism, they stole our country from us. They stole our housing from us. They inflated it all so our work and our labor is worth nothing. The idea that there's an American dream for us to go out and get is ludicrous. It's absolutely laughable. It's not even, I can't even treat it as a serious concept. They looted our entire money supply.
Yeah. So all right. So let me ask this question, because I'm pretty sure there's some people that are breezing by and watching it. We got over 250 views already, people. So let's go ahead and keep these in. Keep these coming. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. What would you say is an adequate hourly wage for someone in the United States of America to live off of? Give me a number.
That's a great question, Robert, and you're falling right into their trap. I wrote an article about this over a year ago. There is no number. See, listen, a smart executive would never fall into the trap that you just fell into, Robert, because smart executives always win. They rig the game. You're asking me to give you a number. I'm not going to give you a number, Robert. Here's my answer. Because I'm a smart executive. I'm
just saying.
Right. No, but this is the point, Robert.
Okay, that
there is no number, because as soon as I give you a number, right? As soon as I give you a number, tomorrow our currency could deflate by 50%, and that number could be half enough. So here's my answer, Robert. What is a minimum wage? A minimum wage is that you get these things. You get the minimum wage is the amount right now, every second, today, tomorrow, and the next day. So it might have to change tomorrow, but the minimum wage right now in our world should be enough for you to get food, housing, medical care, social services, child care, and a decent standard of life in whatever community you're in. So the minimum wage right now, today, in Portland, Oregon, is probably somewhere around $100,000. The minimum wage in Sacramento, California, right now, minimum wage should be somewhere around $100,000. So that's what the minimum wage should be today if you were going to provide your labor to a corporation in a fair exchange. It should be somewhere around that. Now, the world could change, Robert. That's why this is a moving target. If you ask me this tomorrow and they announce World War III tonight, the minimum wage tomorrow could be $250,000. Minimum wage tomorrow could be $250,000. But right now, I'd say it's probably around $100,000 in most major cities would be an absolute minimum wage.
All right, so you said 100K. You said 100K?
Minimum in any large city.
Minimum, and you know what's hilarious that you said that, right? 100K. That's about what I was saying. What most people would say. Well, I can do that and live comfortably, because you got to think about the warehouse jobs. These people get brought in and they give them $33,000 a year for the benefits. So if you tell someone we'll give you 100,000, they'll say, well, yeah, I can live all the way fine off of that, because the person who is typically, let's say, 2 positions higher than them, that's about what they're going to be making from 85 to 100K.
But see, this is
And even though people say it, and those people say it's not enough, they say it's not even close to being enough.
And it's not, but this is what I'm telling you. It's very likely not enough. It's very likely that if I gave you $100,000 today as a minimum wage and put that into federal law, that in a month from now, that's not going to be enough, Robert. This is what I'm telling you. See, rich people, BlackRock and corporations never get stuck in their game. They do their percentages every quarter. Do corporations, does DoorDash or Uber or Lyft or whatever, do they just put round numbers out there and just stay flat forever? No, they want 3% every quarter. They want more. They want more. And we sit here flat and going backwards forever. And they want more and more and more from us. But see, here's the problem, Robert, and you know this. Everybody knows this who's ever put their labor out there. If you give any corporation on this earth 40 hours of your time per week, you don't have any more to give, number one. Number two, you're going to start losing your work-life balance with your family, your kids, and everything else. You're going to start losing your health and your work-life balance with yourself, right? We have convinced ourselves in order to survive that we're all just grinders and we can all grind this out and grind this out. But we grind this out in a way, Robert, as slaves where we don't look up and see that we're not getting the minimum we deserve anymore. Because if we got the minimum we deserve for a basic dignified life, we'd all be making six figures in this chat right now. Because it takes six figures to even have a basic life of dignity in this country anymore. None of us make that. None of us are going to make that under this broken system. So the answer is, what can people do? Hope for a revolution, hope for the failure of the U.S. American empire that has enslaved us, and hope for a system that's fair. Because this system is not fixable. This is organized criminals who
you're pretty much saying that there is no job they can create to even make people feel like they can actually be comfortable. There's not even a job you can create. We are now doomed because of
They're not investing in making jobs for us. Data centers don't employ anybody. Data centers, a huge data center that's $1 billion data center will employ 3 or 4 people, maybe. I mean, they'll build it, but they're burning our world out, Robert. They're planning to use all the resources and not leave any for us or our descendants, if our descendants are even alive. This is not a safe.
All right, so let's look at what we have here in the US as far as we have oil and everything that we don't tap into. We have oil, we have so many things that we can create jobs with. Why won't they create the jobs off of what we have?
They have it. We have nothing. Robert, they're spending their oil and their money on war and AI, not upon us and our infrastructure, our bridges, our roads, our communities, our houses, or anything else. So TFT says minimum wage goes up. Corporations raise prices to compensate for potential loss of profits. That's a lie. Labor has no impact on corporations at all. That's just, we're slaves that are being told that we're expensive slaves, and they want us to feel guilty for being expensive slaves to keep, Robert. They want us to feel guilty that we're human beings that can't grind 24 hours a day on behalf of oligarchs like Peter Thiel and Elon Musk, and all the shitbag politicians like Trump and Harris, all the liars, all the scumbag politicians that are driving war and genocide around the world while we starve. They're lying to us. They're all liars. They're all liars. We're the victims of organized crime. This organized criminal empire does nothing for us, Robert. It's just a lie. And we bought into the lie because we're slaves in the empire. What do you think? They're going to tell us the truth? You think they're going to tell us, oh, yeah, you're slaves. We've been running train on you for the last 50 years, and we're never going to let up running train on you. You're just slaves, and we're going to pound you into submission until you all die. They're not going to tell us that. They're just doing it. And we're watching it happen. And don't deny what you're watching happen, right? We're all festering and dying. We don't have enough money to survive. And the government is not coming to help us. They never have. They never did. And now, you know, look at what the massive wealth transfer with app slavery and the pandemic, and how the governments in our world went fascist and forced app slavery down our throat and stole all our money and shut all these independent businesses with the pandemic. This is treacherous stuff, and they're not going to stop. They're burning out our
So do you think? Well, do you think? Do you think the immigrants coming over and who are swooping up all these jobs? Do you think that because they're taking all the jobs because of what the prices that they're putting out there? Do you think that they are partly to blame for us here in America?
Nobody wants these jobs. Americans have never wanted migrant labor jobs, and basically app slavery is just another version of migrant labor, right? These are migrant labor jobs. Americans have never wanted these jobs because these jobs don't pay enough for us to live in our American lifestyle with the American dream. They do pay enough for 20 immigrants to live in an apartment. That's not the immigrants' fault, right? Because the immigrants are coming across an international border, and that border is designed to keep them poor and our wealthy people wealthy. So when they come over here, who do you think's letting them come over here? Our wealthy people. Who do you think is employing them? Our wealthy people, our corporations. We figured that up when they wanted to cut off migrant labor, and all the farmers and everybody that does food manufacturing and food processing and chicken slaughtering and cow slaughtering and pig slaughtering and everybody else said, wait a minute, guys, if we don't have the illegal labor, if we don't have the migrant workers, you ain't gonna have any food processed, because Americans literally will not do these jobs at what we're willing to pay. And so our entire economy, Robert, is built upon food supplies and a supply chain that is built on immigrants. We couldn't get rid of the immigrants if we wanted to, and Americans would starve to death before they went and worked in chicken slaughtering and cow slaughtering.
Well, look at this, Jeff. The immigrants are doing the things that the Americans won't do, but also the immigrants come from where it takes a village to raise their families and everything, and they are used to living with. Well, look, they are used to living with everyone in one place. So if you can have everyone live in one place and take over the jobs, they'll have more than enough to have property, and they all can live on that property and that compound. Right. Why are Americans afraid of the community living aspect? Why is that?
It's not our culture. It's not our culture. We are told we're supposed to be rugged individualists, and if we live at home with our mom, we're losers. That's what we're told. They're told that living at home with their mother makes them a good family member. So it's our psychology, Robert. You got it right, that we're not a community. We don't like ourselves. We don't like our families. We don't like each other because we're all expecting each other to survive as lone wolves. But guess what? Lone wolves don't have a society. Lone wolves just walk around in the wilderness till they die alone and starve to death. We need each other. Humans are meant to survive together. And by the way, all of these refugees come from countries whose resources were raped and pillaged by our empire. Their government was raped and pillaged by our empire without paying their citizens for the value of the shit we stole. And now we're driving them into our countries as refugees and as our low-paid wage slaves and low-paid app slaves. So this is, again, part of the criminal empire. Everything that you're saying, Robert, is by design. And this isn't conspiracy theory anymore, right? Even 4 years ago, maybe even last year, I would have felt more like a conspiracy theorist to be this dark with you. But we are watching it right now with our eyes. We are watching babies and women and children and families and cities and innocent people around the world being murdered by our empire. And we're being told that it's okay. We're being told that this is, we're still the good guys and we're on the good side. Well, we're not. We're not the good guys. We're not on the good side. The empire is not out to help you or your family survive, and they're not out to help anybody survive except for corporate fascism and the wealthy, ultra wealthy 1% who plan to survive while we die, because that's their plan.
So there are some people that are listening to you, and I know some people are like saying, this guy is just saying, just give up. Is that what you are putting in your message? Give up?
No. I'm saying you can't win a rigged game where they stole all the money. You have to quit playing their game. You have to quit being a slave to corporate fascism, and everything that you have, including your very own slave phone, is going to tell you that you need to stay a slave to corporate fascism. It's going to tell you you can't leave this system, and that's what they want you to believe. But if you don't leave this system, your life's just going to continually get worse until you're dead. And so there's no choice, Robert. I'm not telling people this is what I want or this is what I think is great or anything else. I think this is a massive human tragedy. I'm just telling you exactly what's happening in real time. And you can, any of us can deny reality to ourselves and others, but this is what is happening. None of us have the opportunity to earn enough money with our labor to survive what they're going to do to us. They're taking it all away. They're taking our cars away. They're taking our labor away. They're taking our insurance away. They're taking all the things that they control away from us. And so what can we do is escape their control, Robert. We're going to have to escape their control because their control is a death trap.
So, all right. So let's say, all right, we got these neighborhoods now. We got neighbors back to back. You know, my dad has a barbecue business straight out of the house, and people order and they pre-order it, and he's doing it all. Should people just set up, just have it like flea markets? Your home is your yard sale, your kitchen, your everything. Do everything from your home and make your money like that, or go inside and try to find a job to help out with some of the things. You know what I mean? What should we do? What should we do out there?
What is money, Robert? Money is not required for our survival. Money is a medium of exchange. If you're in a community where you have skills, there are people that can cook. You can do deliveries. You could be given chickens for your deliveries. You could be given food for your deliveries and for your services deliveries. Then you could trade your labor in DJing a party for somebody who's going to come and do your plumbing when you need plumbing. We don't need a medium of exchange in order to have a community. What is a medium of exchange? A medium of exchange is something that it's the oil in an engine. An engine without oil is going to overheat and seize up. So a medium of exchange is the oil in our social engine. Okay? Now, here's the problem. As soon as somebody starts hoarding the medium of exchange and I start pulling all the oil over here, Robert, the engine is going to overheat because I'm stealing all the oil. Okay? I took away the medium of exchange that keeps your engine lubricated. And that's what the oligarchs and government has done to us. That's why they're starving us out. That's why we don't have a safety net when they're giving safety net for immigrants to come in and take these slave jobs, right? Is they're sucking all the oil out of our engine so that we seize up and die because that's what they want for us. Okay, now, a medium of exchange, I see my friend always cherry pick on here. I'm going to let him speak. A medium of exchange, when it's used as oil, is a good thing, right? Because it keeps the engine flowing. But as soon as I start hoarding it all for myself, the system breaks down, okay? And so we can run a system and make a self-lubricating system, but we're gonna have to do it with exchanges that don't involve oligarchs and kings and federal governments that just want World War III and the artificial intelligence successor to humanity when we're all dead, because that's a bad plan for us. How you doing, always cherry pick?
Can y'all hear me? How do I sound, Robert?
Get off my fucking lawn.
What's up? Hey, listen, I'm going to tell you that me and Jeff agree on so much stuff. It's just the part that I just caught Robert say, so what's the answer? And before last year when you were going on here saying all this stuff, you weren't giving an answer. You were blaming the worker for the predicament, when now you're agreeing and you're saying, which I'd like to hear from you, that it's too big. You don't have the answer. The worker doesn't have the answer. You're basically saying we're fucked. But a lot of the drivers, just understand, Jeff, have heard when they heard you talk in the past that you were blaming the driver for the predicament. And you know, I love what you're saying, but I can't trade a chicken for my rent. I'm sorry, but my landlord wants money. You're saying, right? You know what I mean? I just can't. I can't.
Most of us.
But I hear what you're saying. And the part that you're talking about immigration, I agree with you 100%. So go ahead.
But most of us aren't going to be able to pay rent for very long. Most people that I know are making less money now than it takes for them to pay their rent. They're just hanging on because they have nothing else to do. So that's one part. Okay, so let me address that, Cherry, because I think you're making a good point. And what you're pointing out is my flaw in human communication and my failure to communicate clearly, not my philosophy, because I think in anything I've ever done, including in the book that's on Substack. You can read the first 4 chapters. The one thing I'm not doing is blaming app slaves and blaming the victims of poverty. It sounds like it because I'm not validating the grind mindset, because the grind mindset is not going to keep us housed, fed, and alive. And so sometimes people interpret that because of my failure in communication of saying that they're failures, but I'm telling you, I'm a failure too. So like, you know, I guess what I'm saying is, yes, we're failures of the American dream, but the American dream was a lie. So we're in a big club here, Jerry.
But hold on a second. The American dream wasn't a lie in the 40s when you could go get a blue collar job and you could work at a factory and you could get a low mortgage in a cute little safe neighborhood and fucking live. And then the 50s came and the 60s came and the 70s came, and fast forward to today, not blaming Democrats, Republicans, right, left, or the middle, who some country or oil or this person or oligarchs, we systematically got fucked by millionaires back then, now billionaires. To where what you were saying is such a good point. Reese, me and him are Jewish. Our people did not volunteer to be slaves back in the day. Reese, your people are black. They were slaves. They didn't jump on the boat like it was a free fucking cruise. What Jeff was saying is these people that you're saying are immigrants stealing our jobs are begging to come be slaves in the new slave system. And that's what I think gets overlooked in this. It's not, are they taking our jobs? To a rich person, it's another sucker, poor person that we can add to the pool of people that will take a no-tip order, that will work for minimum wage, that will do a 1099. So the government that worked hard in us as Americans for decades ago, hundreds of years ago, made this system so there was certain rights for employees, made it so we're proud to be a 1099 and have no rights, not to have workman's comp, not to have insurance, not to have anything. And what I'm telling you, Reese, Jeff is 100%, and he does sound like a crazy person 10 years ago, but it makes sense today. Look what's happening. They're allowing illegal people to come in to do the work for less than an American, less than the black man will do, less than the poor white man will do. And that's what they're doing, Reese. They're taking a market. We always talk about oversaturation. They're taking a market where people are happy to use their own car and work for minimum wage and pay for the gas and find a fucking Mexican guy that'll do it for $5.50 an hour.
And Jerry,
that's what I'm saying, and that's what I know is what's going on. But see, on this platform,
but Reese,
you know,
they forced black people on a boat to become slaves. These people are waiting in line to be slaves to come to America.
Okay,
that's
okay. Hold up. As me being Hot Facts and having a platform going on right now, you know, I'm out there with my ear to the street. So when I'm continuously hearing Americans talk about this, and I'm thinking about look at what you guys allow to happen, and then you want to complain, but like you say, my mechanic is Mexican. Do my car for, I go get the parts, and my man go take care of everything. Now, if he goes get the parts, he still go ahead and do his thing to go get me the best part for the cheapest price, and he's gonna go ahead and knock that out. He's gonna do what the American will not do, and I'm hearing these Americans get upset about it, and I'm in my head, I'm like, don't you realize what's going on? But since they're afraid to speak about it, because some of them actually know what the light is, they ain't gonna be talking about it like that. Hot Facts is gonna bring what y'all talking about in the street onto the air, and that's exactly where we are now. And Sherry, I thank you for coming in, and I bet Jeff was like, what? Sherry, you agree with me? Yeah, we talking about real life. This is when you get the realness.
Listen, man. Me and Jeff agree with each other. Like I said, I just don't. Last year, it was just like it got on my nerves that he blamed the worker. You know that, right, dude? You blame the worker. I love Jeff. I think he's intelligent. I think most of what he says is very on target. I really do.
And I will.
And I always said that about you, dude. I never said that you were stupid. I said you were annoying, Jeff. By the way, happy holidays, my friend. Happy New Year.
Yeah, you too. So I'll accept your interpretation of the potential for blaming the worker. That's not what I would, could, or ever should do, and so we're not going to blame the worker. Now, one of the things,
right? But in all fairness to you, Jeff, you were speaking to workers. So if you were speaking to a community of CEOs, you would be calling them names. So it was the audience. It wasn't like you got to talk to Tony Chu and say, "Hey, Tony, you are basically a villain and a slave driver."
Right. And app slavery is an inflammatory term. That's why I created it, right? It's an inflammatory term. I created it that way. But Cherry, when you were talking, what you were pointing out in your entire description is all of the reasons that immigrants have always been the target of two things: scapegoating and organized crime. And these immigrants that are coming today are the targets of scapegoating and organized crime because they don't have the
Hey,
same.
I'm going to be on my patio smoking a cigarette, and there's Mexicans probably illegal doing a roof across the street. So if you hear that, I'm sorry.
Well,
I don't mean to be rude, but it's true. I got Mexicans out here.
So those two things have always made oligarchs and governmental ghouls love immigration, borders, illegal immigration, work visas, and everything else, is they get to play all the accounting games and economic games they want with people's lives. But what does it really mean is it means people come in with lesser rights to work in our country.
Correct.
And then we screw the hell out of them as the new slaves because that's what we do to immigrants and scapegoats.
Right. Now, no different than Hitler. Hitler blamed the Jews because the poor Germans couldn't get a fair shake and they were poor. And they said all these immigrant Jews were coming into our country. That's what they're doing, saying instead of you ganging up on the government, these big corporations, you're going to blame the little guy who's just trying to survive. And that's the whole thing. When y'all talk about, oh, these immigrants are taking my jobs, y'all sound like World War II and Hitler, bro. It sounds like the immigrant Jew that came into Germany to take some guy's job. So, okay, let's put him in an oven and kill him. It's so ridiculous when y'all talk about that. We're all immigrants.
Pretend, just as a thought experiment, Robert and Cherry, pretend. Has anybody ever watched like Vikings or The Last Kingdom? Any like medieval, really great, like multi-year series? Imagine our rulers as kings and how they take care of each other and the people, and then put them in the place of our politicians today. It's the same thing. It's a bunch of debaucherous, egotistical psychopaths that are willing to use human sacrifice to become rich. That's what it is. And like, if we keep holding up our politicians to be good people or virtuous or somebody who's going to even help us survive, we're just fucking fools. Because these kings and queens and oligarchs and Peter Thiels and Elon Musks and Donald Trumps and Kamala Harris's they're just the genociders. They're the people that are going to murder us and our families and tell us that it was in the best interest of the nation.
See, you don't know what? When you break it down like that, and we got the how to make these things and the barter system and everything, it's kind of like we should just start the Walking Dead now. We should just start the Walking Dead now. Get your little colony in your camp, and let's see how long your colony and camp survives off of doing what you gotta do.
Robert, it started without us, and it starts without announcement. That's what I'm telling you. It already started. They already gave up on us. Look at their behavior. Look at their wars. Look at Appalachia. Look at the state of our nation. Look at the chemical fires, and look at all the tragedies, and judge for yourself whether the federal government of the United States, who has no safety net for its people, living all over the streets, losing our ability to afford our upcoming rent, ask yourself if they are taking care of the human needs, because the stress alone is killing us. I know it's killing me. I know I'm going to die early and soon due to the stress of being a $0 slave in a corrupt empire. That's what's happening. I'm not.
Look at that comment there. Look at the highlighted comment there, Jeff and Cherry. What do you guys think about that?
I think it's.
Now, I did a video on Venezuelans.
I think it's silly because we will never get more because immigrants or refugees that are trying to survive get less. The oligarchs stole your house and you want to attack the immigrants camping on your street. It doesn't make any sense.
Hold on. I don't want to make light of mixing up people coming with the free will with slavery, but didn't the slave masters have to feed and house the people? Didn't they? If they didn't take care of them, how were they supposed to work? They had to give them health care. They had to give them a place to live. They had to give them food, just like we are. What? So I can go out and make enough money after I deliver my lunch so I can afford a biggie bag at Wendy's? That's what my little thing is, that because that's all I can afford, because I'm a loser. I'm an American that's trying to work to live. It's the same difference. Yes, I'm not making light of slavery, but the slave master used to have to bring the doctor in to take care of the slaves and had to feed them. Baby, better than Bud Soda gets fed some days when he's broke and he ain't got no money. Probably.
This is the problem, Jerry. 1 + 1 does not equal rent. Only the amount of money that equals rent equals rent. If they're paying you less than it takes to eat and put a roof over your house and drive your car, you got nothing.
How many of these drivers that I know have to take a fucking order and they have the Uber Eats direct card so they get paid immediately or they get paid within an hour and a half, and they said, I don't have DoorDash hooked up on this, I just took a $5 order over a $12 order because I'm gonna run out of gas. When you are taking orders for gas, there's an issue, and it's not a Mexican guy's fault. It's not a Venezuelan guy's fault. That's all I'm saying. Yes, I understand everybody should be legal and blah, 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 blah. But if these people aren't fucking murdering people, they're working, bro.
Cherry are the ones, like the crazy Americans are the ones that, yeah, people, I'm saying crazy Americans, because you got to think. What he just said, if you are, if you got to work to get gas to then go do it, there's something wrong with that. There's so many people that I run into who are doing delivery work, and dude is like, yeah, man, I got to get this order. My car is on E right now. I'm like, dang. So
that is the whole lie of app slavery that we're talking about, is that, and Cherry, you know this as well as anybody, most drivers out there are not capable of doing the basic calculations of what their expenses and risk are, and they don't even know if they're making money or not. Now, Robert's in California, so Robert's calculations are done differently. But most drivers across this nation are driving around ignorant of whether they're even making money on.
And let's remember, Prop 22 was a Band-Aid from the big corporations because they didn't want what they really should have paid. So when we all say Robert and Sam have it good over there, remember, it was a middle ground. Remember, what was it, Amendment, whatever? Reese knows better than me, I forget. Yeah. Amendment 8 or whatever the fuck it was. AB 5.
They campaigned for it. They paid for it. They spent millions and millions.
They wrote Prop 22 as a better way so they wouldn't have to pay so much money. So what if we did AB 85, whatever the fuck it was, Reese? I forget. I'm not good at this. All over the whole country. What if the federal government put that in act? It would bankrupt everybody. Yeah. You know why? You know why it would bankrupt everybody? Because there wouldn't be profits for the stockholders. We could still survive as drivers. We still get our pennies. The people would still get their food. They just wouldn't have as much profit.
But it's not.
So they would therefore have a hissy fit and say that they're going to go bankrupt when we know they're not going bankrupt.
This is how.
Hey, let guys this. So remember back in the day, you know, I talked about the home ec and wood shop and metal shop and auto shop. You're able to go ahead and get these trades. Since they're throwing everybody out to be a delivery driver, so is their curriculum, hey, you go to school, if you don't play sports, go drive for DoorDash and go be a delivery driver. Is that their next pitch to these kids? You can be your own boss, just go drive? Is that their next pitch?
Yes. Instead of going to the ed class, that's what you're talking about. When you leave high school and as a senior, you get to go to that special class and be a cook or be a mechanic. Yeah. Now you're going to be a specialty delivery driver, and Bentley Coupe and UDM and Pedro are going to run the class. They're going to certify you.
So this is the problem. And Cherry, I know, I understand the perils of me coming in, doing research and trying to communicate to this audience and not come off as either critical or or maybe even potentially worse of people doing the work. The problem is, if we go back to the basics, the economics of what DoorDash does, the economics of last mile delivery are complete and total fraud. They do not exist. DoorDash is investing with billions and billions and billions of dollars losing money for each delivery, right? They do that only for one reason. It's called monopoly, which is about control and money laundering and fraud. And so,
well, Jeff, here's the big story, okay?
Playing the same game that we're playing. We're trying to make money to survive. They're losing money so that they own us. Who do you think's going to win?
Right.
People losing money to own us, or us trying to earn money to survive?
Now, I will say we are an illusion. They made a niche, for lack of a better word, and they made people believe that they needed the niche. They makes the restaurant need the niche. Why can't the restaurant hire a delivery driver back in the old days? No, they need Uber Eats. Why can't the customer go get their own damn food, have their kid get on the bicycle, or have the guy at the mom and pop place have his fucking busboy bring it to me like in the old days? Nope, you need us. And because you need us, you need to pay us. And that's the whole scam. They did the same thing to the worker. You need us because you used to work at McDonald's making minimum wage and you were jealous of Robert Reese coming and making the money. You didn't realize that he paid for his breaks, his gas, that he sat for 3 hours and didn't make $1. That when he's sick, he doesn't have any time off. He doesn't have any insurance. He doesn't have workman's comp. And I know I'm using a bad example because he has Prop 22, but for the rest of us that aren't so lucky. So then they make the workers feel like you need to work for Uber. You need to work for DoorDash. They make a need. It's a big facade that we're all living. The guy can go fucking call the Chinese restaurant like in the old days and have the guy bring him the food with a free delivery charge, no money, and he can tip him if he feels like it. And the guy's getting paid and he's under workman's comp. He's under insurance if he gets in an accident. If he slips in the back on the way, he's covered. This is the bullshit that you and I agree on. We don't disagree on anything other than it's hard. It's hard. What's the alternative, dude? I have to pay my rent. End of conversation. We can talk about it, but I got to go work.
Okay.
And at the end of the day, I need to pay my bills. I'll be quiet.
Okay, so Cherry, you do have to pay your rent till you don't. And here's what's going to come up, whether we like it or not. There's going to be a time when you don't, because so many people in this large cohort of economic failures and mortgage failures are going to be unable to pay their rent. They're going to have to put a moratorium on all foreclosures and dehomings, because you guys are part of a massive cohort. Brian of DoorDash Sucks, you guys know who that guy is, right? Brian, DoorDash Sucks, Gig Apps Exposed, is off working a slave job today. He's commuting about 5 hours to go make somewhere around $20 an hour for a few hours, an amount that won't even keep him housed, but he's doing it because there's nothing else. So it's not just app slavery that is disgusting. All of these employers out there that are offering W-2 jobs also know they're not paying people enough to live within even hours of where they're asking them to work. This isn't sustainable. It's going to collapse. It's collapsing right now.
Now watch this, Jeff. Jeff and Cherry. Now last night, I saw the most ridiculous thing ever of all time. Now I'm in there on my break, and I'm at Tommy's Burgers, and I'm ordering my food, and I'm talking to the workers there about the Super Bowl, right? This Asian guy comes to the door that's already, it says open. I'm in there talking. I don't work there. He just stares on the inside for like 15 seconds and he just stares the door. So I look and I'm like, what's he doing? So I go push the door to open it and he says, pick up. I turn to the guys that work there and the guy says, pick up. So he says, DoorDash? He says, pick up. Then his wife, who's in the car, who can't speak English, right? She comes to the door. Instead of coming inside the Tommy's Burger place, she says, he said, DoorDash? She said, Uber Eat. So he said, come. He said, what's the name? They didn't even know how to say the person's name. He just grabbed her phone and looked at it and said, okay, this one's for you. Now, if I didn't let the guy in, He would have been stuck at the door, staring at an open door where he can walk on the inside. She can't communicate. It was her app and her phone, but he's coming to do the pickup. They both can't speak English. If I'm a customer, and let's say I'm trying to get in contact with my driver, they can't communicate with me. If I ask them, well, if I say, well, they normally do this, or they leave out this, they can't confirm the orders, they can't verify the orders, but they out there doing that, come to get the job. The worker there said, see, you should be able to know the language and everything if you're going to be doing the job. Now, I witnessed that. So when we're talking about paying the money and give them this in Prop 22, there's Prop 22 going for these people here when there's waiting lists for drivers here who can't work, but they're able to get right on. And I put the video up last night. What do you guys think about that?
I think it is beyond the realm of my conceptual ability to believe that DoorDash or Uber or Lyft even care. They don't care. If they cared, this is the thing that shows their fraud from the start. They don't care about the quality of delivery. They don't care if you deliver food poisoning. That is not their problem. They don't care if you get in a car wreck and kill yourself on the way there or on the way home. They're not associated with you. They don't know you. Read the terms of their agreement. They don't know you. They never met you. They have no association with you. And if anybody ever brings it up, they're going to deny they ever heard of you. That is what app slavery is. And so to think that that company cares about the delivery experience or whether there's food safety or anything else is ridiculous. They don't. This is a system of money laundering and fraud. This is not a delivery system for human beings that want to deliver edible food to other human beings. That's not what this is.
Man, we in a bad spot, man. Americans.
I'm gonna give you an example. Check this out, Jeff. Listen to this, and Robert. Okay. I obviously am somebody that has lots of apps. I have 4 phones. I have double-digit apps that I am active with right now. 10. Oh, let's just say double digits, at least 10. I just did my insurance. And you get all these notifications. So I get a tit of notifications. Hey, your insurance is up. Hey, your vehicle registration's up. That stuff. I want to let you all know that certain companies are very strict about it and remind you, and the day that it's up, if you don't have your stuff right, then you can't drive for them, and they shut your ass off. And Uber is one of them. I will give Uber credit. They are very strict with that. DoorDash never asked me for my insurance. Rody, who is owned by UPS, never asked me for my insurance. What bigger companies are Rody, which is UPS, and DoorDash that don't ask for my insurance? I could be driving around today with insurance that's 2 years out of date. Like, to answer your question, it's the subject, but it's not. They don't care. They don't care that I'm doing a DoorDash order and I hit a family and kill everybody and I am not insured whatsoever. They say, well, our insurance picks it up after the fact. Yes, but you're allowing me out there. I'm in a state that doesn't have the admission control and stuff like that. DoorDash doesn't care. Sure. As long as you have your tag, they don't care the condition of my car. I could have no brakes and kill somebody. They don't care.
They made the conscious decision in the design of their apps. Every single app design platform has the ability to turn off notifications while a vehicle is in motion. All of these app companies made the decision to harass and distract us, in other words, murdering us and other people, for their purposes, to harass us and to browbeat us into taking money, losing offers in their fraudulent game. This whole design, the whole design of app slavery and these companies is designed.
Jeff, Uber Eats makes me take my picture, right? They make you take the picture to verify you, and they have a thing. If you're driving, it says wait till you get to the red light. But when you're taking orders at 50 miles an hour in rush hour traffic holding a milkshake, they want me to decide if I should take a $4.50 order or not.
Right, which tells you they don't.
Why? But they have that ability to not have me take my picture while my car is moving. So why don't they wait for me to get to a red light? Because they want to distract me, so I take the shitty order, and they want me to be on-call slave.
Right, and so this, all these devices have gyroscopes in them, so they know when you're moving. They know all the different things that are happening. They know if you're multi-apping. They know how many apps you're running. They know everything. Okay, they know all these things. So yes, you are right. So they're making this is a business decision, Cherry. They are sacrificing human lives for their ability to harass you with this slave phone while you're driving 55 miles per hour, and that is the decision they made. That's also the decision that the U.S. government and regulators allow them to have millions of people driving around the roads in one of the most dangerous occupations that any human could do. They made that decision to let this happen. What does that tell you about their value for our lives? It tells you we don't.
You can get shot and killed anywhere. You know, like I'm in California, people. I don't deliver food in Compton and all them areas. I'm not getting lead out.
Reed's like, I'm gonna get shot, bitch.
No, I'm gonna get shot.
Let me do this.
Different wardrobe, everything you got there. No, I'm not about to be doing deliveries in the hood in Philly. I'm not doing, but you got drivers that risk their lives knowing that they can get shot and killed all for $3.50 for a taco.
All right, listen, hold on. Let me talk. This is for Yup. Yup, you are watching Hot Facts with Robert Reese. This is a live stream right now as we speak. It is 3:22 Eastern, October 3rd, and you are watching Hot Facts with Robert Reese. It's live, Yup. This ain't a fucking Reese stream.
Cherry, look, I was gonna do a station identification, but thank you.
Yeah, we need a station identification. Yup's like, I just talked to Cherry on the phone the other day. He said he wasn't coming back until Friday. What's he doing up here? He ain't supposed to be anywhere till Friday.
Well, when you're talking about some real stuff that's going on, and you know, people, the focus of my live streams now, as far as what's going on, I'm gonna be talking about the issues that people are afraid to talk about because they're afraid what Molly, Jane, and Sue are gonna say about him.
Right.
We're gonna be talking about that stuff here on Hot Facts because if we can't talk about it here, you ain't gonna talk about it nowhere else. We gonna talk about this shit because I get tired of going to all these places and I'm hearing people just talk all this random shit, and when you like hear them give their so-called expert opinion, they sound like shit. They have no thought process.
Yes.
They have nothing planned for a solution. They have nothing, but they just run them yaps nonstop, and that just pisses me off. So we gonna talk about it.
I hear you. Anyways,
You know
listen,
I mean?
y'all. I appreciate it. I'm gonna bounce down, but listen, Jeff, I was nice talking to you. You know that I have a brain when I feel like using it, and that what you say is weird as you say it. Sometimes I agree with a big chunk of it, like a majority of it. You know.
No.
Yeah.
A lot of for me, I guess. And this is probably, again, this is just, I'm a different pile of goo than you guys are. So I don't really take a lot of things personally, maybe even some that I should. And so a lot of the drama of YouTube is kind of lost on me, where everybody gets all hopped up and stuff. I just think it's all fucking silly because I know I'm
right. But you know the difference, dude. We've had this discussion. You know I'm whatever.
I fucking
listen. The only thing that you can make me mad is when you guys compared me last year, saying I was just like Pedro, I was just like Bentley Coupe, I was just like UDM. When I'm not, I'm the anti one of them, and you know that makes me so mad. You're just like one of them. That's when I get mad. I'm like, I'm not one of them. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel.
No, Cherry, look, man, you were the guy who did the broadcast publicly on purpose that leaked out the glitch.
Right, and you made it seem like I did it by accident. Now, who the hell says something by accident on YouTube? There's no accident.
Nothing goes on YouTube by accident. You get that. We all give you credit for that. You get 100% of the credit.
Dude, the funniest part is that you guys didn't understand why it mattered to me. It wasn't the big shots. It was the little people in the chat saying, I'm a top dasher. I don't know why you guys can't do this. Like taunting people when I knew that they were doing the glitch. People like Red and Cody C and people like that were saying, I don't know why you guys can't handle having a high acceptance rate. I do with no problem, bragging and taunting people, Red, you slut. Whoops, sorry. I gotta go.
I have always understood you, my beautiful.
He had to. He can't. He had to. Cherry, you were on a good one. You were behaving.
And then I had to throw that in there, baby.
You know what? For
I
a lot
love you, Lexi.
don't know, he has an ongoing feud. Yeah, Cherry has an ongoing feud with a content creator. So it's kind of like when Trump goes at Biden and Harris, they just throw in shots at the end of their shit. So get here. I'm gonna talk to you later before you start doing it more.
Take it easy, y'all. Yeah. Have a good day, Rob.
Get off my stage. You never know what's gonna happen with Cherry. He did a job. He did a good job for a long time, huh? He did a good job for a while.
Okay, so this is the thing that gets lost on YouTube and basically in reality broadcasting altogether, right? Is that we can often bounce back and forth between being characters and being ourselves, and maybe sometimes we're not even sure which one we're being. And so, like you said, some of that got lost on me too, because I tend to be kind of serious thinking about the business aspects and all the little aspects of people getting their feelings hurt. Just it's not really what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to want everybody to survive, not to hurt anybody's feelings. So a little bit of that gets lost on me, and I understand that. That's a difficult part of talking about business and life together. Is that business is business, right? And it kind of should involve some facts and figures and things adding up. And life is very complex. We all have a lot of different pressures, and we all come from different backgrounds, and we all have different biases and even different levels of awakening to what's going on in the world right now. We have different levels of what we perceive in the world. And so unifying together to just share some common understanding of what we're facing is really important. And the thing that I like about Cherry, and I've always liked about Cherry, the thing I like about Robert is they're not trying to represent anything else but the reality of the situation. And that's what's important to all of us. And again, I'm just going to say the reality of the situation is that 1 + 1 doesn't equal rent. They are not paying us enough so that the labor hours of demand in this nation allow us to survive. And those are W-2 labor hours. Those are DoorDash labor hours. Those are Uber Lyft labor hours. Right now, Robert, I showed it the other day, the gentleman named Luis Mingwe, who contacted me via Twitter and also, shared with a number of other people. I have had multiple conversations from all over the country that there are people that are DoorDashers with, tens of thousands and more, 10,000 and more deliveries that have just been cut off cold turkey from receiving DoorDash offers for orders. So there seems to be some really strange stuff going on right now in our economy. And it seems that these games without rules that are these gig apps, this app slavery, it seems like they're just cutting people off at the knees now, which we knew they always would when it came down to it. But here's what we don't know, Robert. We don't know, are consumers just not ordering DoorDash? And so there's just not as many orders because the economy is failing. That's probably true, but we have no statistics. I mean, we're just playing guessing games. Are they giving orders to newer drivers that don't know the algorithm and just accept anything and sweetening a honeypot for new drivers? Possibly. Again, we have no information. The problem with all of app slavery and the problem with all apps is these are unauditable systems of organized crime and fraud. We don't know the reality, Robert. We don't know the density of our fellow coworkers. We don't know which ones are organized crime and illegal people using scanned-in eyeballs and fake driver's licenses and stolen social security numbers. We know that's happening to a great extent. We don't know how much. We don't know how much of Spark is organized crime from inside the company that is selling passwords and selling IDs and selling workarounds on Facebook out of their own company. Are the allegations that Sergio Avedian and some people put out there is that a lot of this inside crime might be coming from inside the apps themselves. And so what we're working here, Robert, this is a market through which they hold all the information, all the resources, and all the power for rigged games. And we're somehow expecting we're going to get a fair shake. We're not getting a fair shake, and they don't care. They don't care. That's not what they're in this business for. They're in this business to use us and to throw us out as garbage. And they don't care if people get food poisoning or die in car accidents along the way. And that's a horrifying thing to imagine, because the horrible human beings at Stanford Business School that thought up this evil plot, think of how evil those people would have to be to think up this criminal plot that we're caught in right now. Think of how evil these people would have to be to use millions of human lives around the world like they're doing. These are truly awful people.
Now, people, look, this is an open link. So if you are someone that's just passing by, we got 600 views in so far, people, in this time. Keep them coming in. Hit that like button. Anything here done on Hot Facts, there is an open link. You get up here, you can speak. You will not be turned away. If you want to add something in, or you want to take something out, if you have a takeaway from something that no one's heard, you can absolutely do that here on Hot Facts. So don't be afraid to click a link. Everybody here is welcome to speak. So we do that every day. So that's why I put up there open link for all. If you guys see it there, go ahead and hit. Do what you got to do.
We want survival. Every single human being on this planet Earth deserves to be alive and not murdered and sacrificed to empires. Somebody come on and tell me that that's an unfair statement that I'm throwing out there, that every single human being on Earth has the right to survive with their body and their family intact today. Is that too much to ask? If that's too much to ask, man, is this freaking empire gone? If it's too much to ask that an American actually believes in peace and human life, please tell me I'm just asking for unreasonable things.
Right. No, it's so crazy how I was watching a court case on TV, and this guy, they gave him a ticket for fishing without a license in an area where no one even goes. Older guy, lives by himself off the land, and he was telling the judge, I'm not paying this fine. He says, I have a right as a human being to be able to fish right here and catch me something to eat. And he said, I have the right to walk down the road and to breathe. He says, you guys are harassing me and bugging me. For me doing that, I have a freedom right. He says, I have the freedom and a right to do this as a man living on the earth. I have the ability to do this.
So what about the people on the street? We've told that we criminalized homelessness. We told them they're criminals. If you're on the street and you can't afford rental housing and nobody in your family or your friends are going to take you in tonight, you're an illegal person. You're not allowed to be sleeping on the street. You're not allowed to stand there and be unless you're a slave to corporate fascism. Isn't that a little strange? Don't we just think maybe this system, and not to mention that fact, what about being our brother's keeper, Robert? What about looking on the street and seeing people that are disabled and addicted, without legs, without arms, suffering in disease, sleeping on the sidewalk and snoring and dying of sleep apnea while you sit there and look at them? What about those human beings? What kind of a country are we where the non-productive people, the old, the young, the sick, the infirmed, the unwell of any type, they don't deserve to live? What kind of monsters have we become? What kind of monsters?
We become so crazy, Jeff. We become so crazy that the idea of keeping up with the Joneses has gone way too far, to where everyone wants to be illuminated. Everyone wants to be in the spotlight. Everyone wants to do this and that. Everyone wants to go, and half of the people got 18,000 credit cards, maxed out, but still trying to go put on this image to say I'm this and that. It's so crazy that we have people that would rather go ahead and waste all their stuff than help out everybody else, help out your next man, and just live right.
This is cognitive biases. This is a narcissistic abuse disorder. So there's a thing, Robert, that happens in people's minds, and they will and do act in their own disinterest, right? Americans are driving themselves and the world into genocide. And a lot of us don't want it. Most of us don't want it. But again, we can't vote for peace. We can't vote for non-criminals. We can only vote for oligarch criminals who are lying to us. And what are we going to get if we vote for oligarch criminals that are lying to us? We're going to get oligarch criminals that are going to drive us into genocide and AI and World War III and fraud. What they're giving us is not survivable. They're offering us health insurance that is fake and denies our claims instead of health care, right? They're not offering us health care. They're offering us fraud. We don't need fraud. We need health care. We don't need denials and health insurance. We need health care, right? We don't need homeless shelters and nonprofits. We need housing. And why is housing unaffordable? It's not because we did it. It's not because we don't work hard enough or work as many hours as we need to. It's because they bid up our housing to 10 to 20 times its value so we can't afford to live in our own house. And now that we can't afford to live in our own house, we agree with the empire that we are criminals because we can't afford our own house anymore. So we're going to move out onto the sidewalk where we're now a criminal. Does this make sense?
Jeff, what did you think about the moratorium when the pandemic came in? They gave that moratorium. What did you feel about the moratorium there? Like, you know, what did you feel about that?
That was the way that they robbed us blind with the biggest criminal transfer of wealth in human history. They suckered us in by throwing us a couple stupid bones of stupid prizes while they stole trillions of dollars and destroyed our economy and our businesses and the world with a terribly managed. You can believe in the pandemic or COVID or not, but here's one thing we know. We know that the governments of the world and their public health physicians who are completely captured and all their other dipshittery and all their pharmaceutical companies and everybody else just use it as a opportunity to scam us blind. And it's the reason that we're app slaves today. If we're app slaves today, it's the reason the gig economy and DoorDash and Uber and Lyft exist in the forms they do. It's all because of the corporate fascism that they implemented as part of the event of the pandemic. And so anybody can guess, right, the motivations of evil people that are running wars and genocides and stealing resources from indigenous communities and causing refugees and governmental failures around the world. Are they doing it to you too, as the poorest class of workers in the United States? Yeah, they are. Like, they are, okay? You just need to know you're on the genocide list. You're top of the fucking genocide list. And if you don't know that, you're lying to yourself, and that just isn't going to help your survival. You are the person that's going to save you from corporate fascism. If you're going to sign up to be a corporate fascist,
this comment says, I don't think we are overpopulated. I think we just don't have our priorities straight.
Yup is 100% correct. This is called manufactured scarcity, Robert. There is no scarcity of housing. There's no scarcity of money. There's no scarcity of natural resources. They're just taking them all and not giving any to us. They're just taking it all and not giving any to us. There's no scarcity. This is manufactured scarcity. Just like their consent for war to have genocide around the world. They didn't ask you. They didn't ask me. We can't vote for it. That's called manufactured consent, right? We're Americans. So guess what? We're in war. We're causing wars and genociding people around the world because we're Americans. Well, I'm not. You're not. That's their manufactured consent using our army and our nationalism to go kill people. I don't agree with that, and I won't support it in any way, shape, or form.
You know what's crazy about that, Jeff? I was looking, and because of what's going on with Hezbollah and Israel and everything else going on, they said, with what's going on, we have 78,000 U.S. troops already in the area. And I was like, golly, you got a whole college football stadium full of troops already there, and people, you guys didn't even know they were there. That's what he said. The manufactured, they went ahead and they're already planned. It's already planned.
Think how big the pile of dead bodies is. It's a lot bigger than that.
Oh yeah, and with the numbers, they give you a certain amount of numbers to make it seem like it's okay. The numbers are going to be at least, I would say, 5 to 10 times more on the deaths and the casualties that they put out to you when they're doing the reporting.
Well, how how much human sacrifice is enough? Dr. Robert Sapolsky did a podcast interview one time talking about the studies about human sacrifice, and what if you only had to sacrifice one person to save the world? Well, what about 10? Well, what about 100? What about, what if it's you? What if it's, somebody else? Like, we can all play these mental games, but here's the reality in our present moment. None of us wants to be blown into 50 million pieces along with our family. That's not what we're hoping for in our American dream. And that's what we're being offered with a world war, is for us and our children and others just like us to be blown apart in a million pieces. Please explain to me anybody how that helps anyone but oligarchs and military industrial complex ghouls. Tell me how it helps anyone be free or good or alive anywhere. It doesn't. It's all a lie. And war has always been, right, for the rulers to genocide us, to manufacture consent, to create wealth, to cause massive disruptions in supplies, and to profit off all of the arbitrage through different borders, because things that are over here can be sold for more over there during a war. Okay, this is what they're doing. This is not a fairy tale, Robert. This is a darker reality than anyone born when you and I were born ever could have believed. If somebody would have told me 10 years ago that I would be saying this today, I probably would have dropped over dead out of horror. But every word I'm telling you is true nonetheless. How bad is that? That's real fucking bad.
Yeah, it's terrible. That is terrible. Yup says trading freedoms for safety. That's the illusion. That's the illusion that they're trying to tell you. You're trading your freedoms. No, you're not trading it. They're taking your freedom and telling you that we're going to take your freedom and put it into the safety realm to make you feel comfortable, while we go in and tap all them pockets and take everything you got, to where we walking around looking like we Anne Frank and them at the final days.
Well, and here's your safety. The latest police shooting here in Portland, Oregon, from a couple days ago, they did recognize that the man that they multiple cops shot was unarmed. So please tell me about your safety. Please tell me about your safety when police are shooting unarmed people, which they do every fucking day and get away with. So please tell me about your safety. You don't have any safety. Your safety is a lie. You think that the American government's going to be there if the rest of the world drops a bomb on American cities? You think anybody's going to come to clean up the fucking mess when you're sacrificed to the war? Because the war sacrifices aren't going to stop with all the people in the rest of the world that don't look like us. They're going to include us too. You can fucking bet on it.
I saw a video yesterday, Jeff, and this guy, let me tell you how backwards this is. This guy did a good thing, him and his buddy. They saw someone that they knew from back in the day. He was walking up the street, and they were like, he looks like he needs a ride. They picked him up. They stopped at the gas station to put gas in and go inside. The guy that they picked up stole the car while they were on the inside buying snacks and stuff to give him something, because he looked like he was down and out, right? When the guy stole the car, obviously the guy who owns the car, he's upset. It came to be, it was his mom's car, so he's really mad. He smacks down the trash can and kicked it and everything, and the store called the police on him because he hit the trash can and kicked it. The police came, didn't want to see what was going on. They took the guy to jail for disorderly conduct and everything else, and his car was just stolen. How backwards is that? How backwards is that? You got a real crime, but you want to take someone to jail for the tax.
Not only that, Robert, not only that, but the bankers that literally steal the houses from our senior citizens will never spend 5 minutes in jail. They're just allowed to do that. The bankers and the appraisers and the real estate agents and the financiers that are just stealing millions and billions and trillions of dollars, stealing people's houses till they have mental health crises and kill themselves. Just like this person had a mental health crisis after being a victim of crime. Just like most people who are victims of crime have mental health crises. I've been one before. I got tortured by the cops once. I had a real good mental health crisis when that was done. Because when you get tortured by the cops, you don't come out okay on the other side, right? And so, yeah, after they torture you, then they can torture you more because you're not okay anymore. And so this is insanity.
I call that upfront blind crime. That's upfront crime. It's in your face, but it's
we do not have a justice system or a constitution that applies to us all equally. We have a system that applies to people with wealth immunity and status one way, and treats the rest of us as cannon fodder, not just as slaves, but now as cannon fodder that can just be used up on the roads of America as app slaves crashing into each other with unsafe cell phones. Have you noticed, Robert? Tell me if I just imagine this. Maybe somebody in the chat can tell me if I just imagine this. But have we stopped hearing all the ads from Mothers Against Drunk Driving about not touching your phone while you're driving? Have we just stopped hearing about that with the pandemic, that we're not supposed to be using our phones and driving around anymore? Because I just don't hear those campaigns applying to all the millions and millions of people that are dying on the roads because of app slavery. I think we just got sold out.
I remember when I was in school, we had every year, we had the assembly every single year in high school. We had the mad assembly, and they would have our courtyard set up with the car flipped over, crash, and they each get up there and tell their story and everything. They don't even do it anymore.
No, they don't anymore. You know why, Robert? Because they don't care anymore. They're not trying to save our lives anymore. It's the same reason. It's the same reason that they're not doing anything about us going homeless with housing fraud. They're not. We're the chosen victims, right? They made a business decision to stop promoting Mothers Against Drunk Driving, to stop promoting road safety, and instead to promote app slavery, because app slavery is where we're at in this empire right now. We're in the human sacrifice phase of the empire, and so now we're not going to talk about campaigns to get people off slave phones while they're driving, because that would be bad for slave business.
Right. And it's crazy because they say with these jobs, they say with these phones, Jeff, you know, your phones do this, the radiation, it takes away from your life, and now they're putting it right in your hand to have you go out there and do the job and take away from your life, is what they say. I think that's crazy all in one.
Well, not only that, we know that the real jobs that delivery drivers used to have, like FedEx drivers and UPS drivers and delivery drivers and couriers and everything else, the real jobs that actually paid wages where people could live, those are being terminated because of app slavery, right? So this was not any innovation in anything except for using human slaves. That's what app slavery was, is it's innovation in slavery, taking people, instead of being wage slaves who will be killed if they go homeless, now we're app slaves that will be killed when we go homeless. But at least while we're homeless app slaves, they'll let us continue to be slaves while we're homeless. That's the innovation of app slavery, is now you can be homeless and still slave for the empire, thanks to technology. That's what they're offering us. This is a giant death trap that they gave us.
So, all right, after going all over this, people, if you guys are just tuning in, go back to the beginning, go back and check, go back and check up. Okay. So the future of America and its economy in the next 10 years looks like what to Jeff Thomas Black?
Well, so at the end, and this answers Yup's question, what are your thoughts on Trump's proposal of no tax on tips? Tips are not income. They never were. Most app slaves don't get tips, and tips are part of an old con that is long over with the exit of our money supply. We don't have that oil in the engine for tips anymore. People that are about to go homeless don't tip anyone. So Trump is many years too late to the game of tipping or anything else. I mean, again, here's the deal. The deal is, Yup, that 1 + 1 doesn't equal rent. It doesn't matter if one of the ones is a tip and the other one is called employment, or if they're both tips, or if they're both called employment. If the numbers don't add up to you being housed, feeding yourself, and taking care of your family in some modicum of dignity, then it's just pure slavery. And as Cherry argued, maybe you could even argue that slaves were treated better when they had housing, because we're going to be slaves even on that don't have housing because there is no social safety net in our cities anymore. There's no social safety net anywhere. And a lot of our families are broken by the same politics that are destroying, that destroyed our economy, right? The psyops of organized crime, turning us against each other, polarizing different generations, because the boomers don't understand. People born in 1940 who went through the good times of America don't understand why the government tells them that job figures are fine and we say that we can't make ends meet, because the job figures are a lie. The job figures don't even include us. We're not even in those figures. So you got boomers running around thinking that we should be able to survive if we just worked harder. That's not the world that exists, man. They're just
Yeah,
it
was that easy. I wish it was that easy, Jeff. You know, you go out there, you work hard, and you come back, you get your just due. You can sit back, put your feet up, put your straw in your mouth and chew on it, and take yourself a nap and feel happy. You want to be able to go do that hard work, come back, watch some college football, have a good time watching it. You know what I mean?
And not be afraid that your kids are going to get murdered or you're going to get droned while you're doing it, right?
Yeah.
And not only that, right? That what you're doing. Remember, Robert, when we were growing up, and they told us like it's okay to be a ditch digger if you like yourself and you like your life, right? Because that was based on the idea that even a ditch digger made enough money to go home and have a wife and 2 kids and watch college football and have a beer and take 1 vacation a year. Even a ditch digger, it was okay to be a ditch digger, an honest, hardworking ditch digger, because you could have that. But now that's not the case, right? We're out here grinding hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, and there is no way to get even that basic life that someone would require. And so you have to ask yourself, okay, if I can't have this from them, can I have it without them? If I just turn my back on the government, if I turn my back on corporate fascism, if I turn my back on app slavery, can I just live off the land and trade with my neighbor and live in some way where I'm not being genocided with more dignity? And that's really living with more dignity than working constantly and getting no benefit for it is not very difficult. Because as soon as you stop giving 40 to 80 to 100 to more hours a week to corporate fascism, at the very least you got time on your hands to think. At the very least you got time on your hands to fish or to hang out with your wife or do whatever else before you die, right? Selling your entire life to someone who's just running a scam on you, which is, we know for a fact all these apps are doing, selling our lives to someone running a scam on us while they're creating war around the world is just not a good deal for us. It's not even plausible anymore.
Hey, remember the show Married with Children, right? Al Bundy had to dodge. He was going out, complaining about the job and the women's feet who had to put the shoes on and stuff. But he was going out to have an honest living. And when he got back, he was able to go into his man cave with his buddies, go in there and sit and complain about what's going on. But he was happy. He was happy. Now you can't even do that. And now Yup just said the politicians, they say they've created hundreds and thousands of jobs. To who? To AI?
So
who's getting those jobs?
These are all lies of the empire, just like all your war news is lies of your empire. You can't believe any of these statistics because what they're doing is they're justifying our genocide to the middle class audience that still exists and the wealthy people that still exist, because they don't want to hear they're starving us to death. They want to hear that we should try harder and work harder because we always, that's what they think of us as slaves. They always just want to blame us and have us try harder and work harder. And they want the immigrants to try harder and work harder and the refugees to try harder and work harder. But here's the problem for all these fucking ghouls who were born in the 40s, right? When it was the 60s and the 70s, they made $20,000 and a house cost $7,000, right? Their cost of living was not multiple times their earnings. Their cost of living was a fraction of their earnings, and their families could help them and their friends could help them and they could help each other. we're sitting here in an overheated engine, and there's no oil in our economy. We don't even have money to give each other. I don't have $1 to give Robert. Robert doesn't have $1 to give me. Yup doesn't have $1 to give Johnny Kneecab. None of us have money to give each other. So are we poor, Robert, in our spirit, in our humanity? Are we poor in empire fiat currency? And I'm going to tell you,
I think it's all of that. I think it's all of that, because the fear of the overall big picture of Big Brother is that's fearful there. Then if you have that fear there, you're gonna be fearful to even want to extend a hand to help whoever you want to help, because you'll feel like, well, if I do this, I'm not gonna have anything, and then I'm gonna be where it is. So that that it makes it tough, and they know exactly what they're doing. They put that fear and that boundary in everyone's head, so that they can actually capitalize and take what they don't want people to give to each other. They're going to take that for themselves.
And that's the cognitive biases. That's the moral of the story and the end of the story of Omelas, the short story by Ursula Le Guin, is that people can imagine. People will not imagine a world in which they are free, and instead they will only concentrate on the hell that they are in. And it's the only thing they can see. They can't see the world. Most people cannot see the world that exists without this corrupt empire making them a slave. They can't see that freedom without wage slavery and app slavery is real freedom, because they're actually invested in their own worldview and trapped in their own worldview. And that's a very sad thing. That's why I tell people only you can save yourself and only you can awaken, is because most people are trapped by their own thoughts in an unsurvivable world, even though they could choose a world where they survive.
Yeah, and people, that world that you choose, whoo, you got to find that place, man. You got to find that place. You got to find that happiness. You got to find that world. If you can't find that world, people, whoo,
we got to find it together, because we are not. We are social creatures. We are built to be together. And I want to tell you a short story right here about the brilliant Dr. Robert Sapolsky from Stanford, and what I learned listening to a podcast from his just a couple weeks ago, because I listened to something from Robert Sapolsky most days of the week, because there's always something to learn from somebody who's been studying primates. That's us. We're just primates. So he's been studying primates for a really long time. He's in his late 60s. He's been studying primates for a good 50 years. So we can learn stuff from him. So here's the deal, Robert. Tell me what you get from this, because this blew my mind. It's going to blow your mind. I hope Amelia is there listening.
All right.
Here's the deal. So when Sapolsky,
yep, she's listening.
When Sapolsky was in the field studying baboons, he was always thought of as a big fucking weirdo, because he was a young guy out there studying baboons by himself, and the Maasai, who lived off the blood of the cattle, thought he was such a fucking weirdo. The only thing they could conceive of from their worldview is he probably lived off the blood of the baboons, because he was such a fucking weirdo and some kind of weird vampire or something. Because of course they live off the blood of their cattle in the desert. Their worldview would of course assume that he was living off the animals that he was obsessed with. They were living off the animals they were obsessed with, right? So anyway, he goes ahead and gets married, and he takes his wife out there. All of a sudden, the Maasai figure out that this guy is not a complete serial killer or baboon blood drinker. He actually might be some kind of a decent guy, and they start hanging around him and his cool wife, because she humanized him. Us male baboons, we're not that cool by ourselves, Robert. We're cooler when we got a nice female baboon hanging around with us. That's kind of interesting, isn't it? I find it interesting. It's interesting how society views lone males and coupled males, isn't it? I think it is. So he goes and finds something else out as he's talking about studying baboons, that over 90% of the baboons he ever darted, darted to like Wild Animal Kingdom. He put a dart in them, and then they fell asleep so he could study them, and then let them go back to their group, right? So over 90% were male. Well, why would that be? Why would over 90% of the baboons be male? Because they're primates, and this is how primates act, Robert. When you shoot a male baboon, let's say you shoot the number 4 baboon, Robert. Well, what happens is number 4 baboon starts acting funny, his social inhibitions kind of start going away. He starts acting goofy before finally he slumps over asleep, right? Well, so what's the danger that's going to happen once that happens to the male baboon? Well, interestingly enough, the other male baboons that the number 4 male baboon in dominance is hanging out with, they don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. He can just go and grab up this baboon. In fact, the danger is, Robert, when number 4 baboon falls over, the danger is number 5 baboon is going to slit his throat before Robert gets there and picks him up. Because the only thing the other baboons care about for this single male baboon is where he is on the pecking order. They don't give a fuck if he's alive or dead. And so there's no problem. Now, what happens when Robert Sapolsky darts a female baboon? Every niece, aunt, mother, sister-in-law, and extended relative goes ape shit. Ape shit. They're going to kill somebody that somebody put this valued female tribe member to sleep and is trying to study them. What is that? And so think about humans. Think about when we see homeless people on the sidewalk, when we see men who we think should have jobs and be tough and be resilient and not be drug addicts or alcoholics or whatever. Think about the support system that we give males in this society versus what we give females and why that would be. And think about me as a human being who has been darted and the fact that nobody gives a fuck if I'm going to die. In fact, it seems like for the most part, my fellow males of the species as a single male, they mostly want to just probably slit my throat so they can climb over me and grab my stuff. And so knowing this, Robert, about our species and about ourselves tells us the cognitive biases we might want to come over if we don't want to live in a society of psycho killers and maniacs that only want World War III or only want to enrich themselves at our expense, because these are the fundamentals of our behavior. And this is, I mean, I can't even tell you, since I heard this about 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, how many times I've thought of this story about the fact that nobody cares if we're darted and die. In fact, it's just a question of which one's going to slit our throat first. And for, females or for somebody who is a sympathetic figure, somebody who's valued by society, right, they're going to be protected and sheltered. And so what we have here, though, is we have a very imbalanced, very dangerous society when we're not aware of our cognitive biases. And a lot of us, myself included, don't really want to just be human sacrifice because as older males, we have no value anymore. And so we have to ask ourselves,
crazy, because the communal aspect, when it comes down to animals, people, and when you're dealing with the great apes and then you go into a baboon's society, it's like he said, the women are the ones that are there doing the foraging and taking care of the kids and everything. And then the males will come in to just protect them against other males who want to come and take all those women that they have. When they go to war, it's way more women and kids fighting than you got the males. You might get one male out there. He's trying to find the one dominant male to put him on display. That's his whole thing. The females and the children, that's the community. They will stick together. They will help. If one's injured, they'll go lick the wounds. They'll go babysit. They'll go do all of that. And I've asked this question maybe about almost a year ago. I said, how would America be if we had not only a female president, but majority of the chairs and everything were female? I also said, what if we had the women in charge of the finances for the country? I think that the country would have a huge big shift and turnaround, that it will be more community. It will be more things put in place to help people out there. But we got these men who want to be there to take out. Well, that guy's in my way. If I take him out, I can control this, and I'll steal his wife, and I'll go to Epstein Island. That was a joke, though. But yeah,
we have the self-selected women that participate in that power game. So there's enough psychopaths in the female portion of our species to destroy the planet too, and the females are in on this genocide and on this hideous organized crime. Of course they are. I think you're right. I used to think that women could save the world, much like you do, Robert. But the problem is, again, a system that we have set up here is now so far gone as a Ponzi scheme. I'm just going to tell you, it doesn't matter what you think or I think. There's not enough of us to earn anything that the oligarchs have and the corporations have that they're not going to give us. There's not enough of us to make them do anything anymore. The only thing we can do is withdraw from their circle of control. The only thing we can do is essentially give them the finger and say, I'm not giving you my labor at the price that you want it. I'm not giving you anything. And in fact, corporations are not human beings, right? Corporations are not people. Corporations are just undead legal constructs. Corporations must be destroyed because corporations and corporate fascism is above the law. Corporate fascism has the right to employ police and politicians, and they do employ politicians and police to murder us. We can't survive this. We can't survive their wars. We can't survive their cops. We can't survive their jails. We can't survive their medical care. They've stolen our medical industrial complex and sold it to pharmacy ghouls and medical insurance companies who run AI scams on us to deny us healthcare instead of to give us healthcare. Your health insurance company is denying you healthcare, just like your car insurance company is going to deny you car insurance. And if you get in a wreck in any of these apps, the app slavery company is going to screw you on their insurance. These are all known things. So there's stories every single day. Jeff Watts of Mike Drop Barbecue just did a broadcast yesterday about people who are caught in the click wrap arbitration agreements of Uber and get in an accident with Uber. They're not getting their medical bills paid. Uber's cutting them off at like $300,000 or something. So Uber, if I don't know why any consumer would ever take a ride in an Uber car because you're less safe and your insurance is worse with Uber than it is with any independent driver. Uber is a death trap.
No, it sure is. And people look, like some people are clicking by. This dude is doing a show talking about this deep stuff and just keep driving people. Well, we're doing deliveries and dropping off. I'm doing the job one of the jobs that they're putting in here that we're talking about. So yes, I'm driving, making money, or what they say is making money to be part of this system in order to go ahead and live. And I'm doing it and giving and talking to you guys. So you guys are not only hearing it, but you guys are seeing it also at the same time. I'm just not telling you guys how much this order is, how much that order is. I'm just not doing that, but I am doing the slave work on how they made it in today.
Here's what we do know, Robert. We know that you doing this work before our very eyes, all of the work, you're receiving a tiny, tiny fraction of the economic activity that's going on here. And in fact, the restaurants and merchants that you're picking up for are also not making any money. They might be breaking even, they might be losing money, but they're not making any money off the things that you're picking up and delivering because the cloud capitalist monopoly, which is what DoorDash and all these companies are, and Uber and Lyft and Uber Eats, all this dog shit, Grubhub, if they're still around, if it matters, right? These companies are monopoly purveyors, right? They're losing money to capture this market, to destroy employment, for global arbitrage, for money laundering, for control fraud, to pay off their executives very high exorbitant prices. But what's not happening is that nobody in your local economy is getting anything out of it. You're working at a break even or maybe a slight gain if you're doing it really, really well as a Prop 22 survivor in California. The business that is using their service, unless it's a national chain like McDonald's or something, is not making any money off the transaction at all. These cloud capitalists and techno-feudalists that are enslaving us are taking all the money while they lie to us about what they're actually doing. So it's really, it's amazing to think of the fact, like if you were going to come up, let's imagine the music business, Robert, because we've talked about this before. This is a good thought experiment. If I told you, Robert, I got this idea, and it's the greatest idea in the world. I have the ultimate music playing platform, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload every song in the history of humanity, in the past and the future. All of this is going to be available on my platform, and I'm going to take a percentage of all music that happens for the rest of time. Okay? That would be a lot, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that be a lot of business?
That'd be a lot of business.
Right? And so if I told you that, what if I told you like, yeah, Robert, and so for that, putting that up there, I'm going to take 60% of all the music that happens for the rest of time for humanity. I'm going to take 60% for me, and then you, artists, the whole rest of the world, and artists and everybody else, for all that it takes to create that music, they're going to take 40%. Well, I would assume that you would think I was a maniac. But that's exactly what these platforms have done, is they've said, we're going to take everything that's happened in the world, we're going to filter it for you through Amazon or through Spotify or through Google or whatever, and we're going to take 60, 70, 80, 90% of all the revenue that happens in the rest of humanity, and we'll give you a little bit. We'll give you a single digit percent. We'll give you a 0.5 of a cent per play of your song, and then we're going to take it all. So that's what they did. Now, if I went back to that same thought experiment and I said, okay, Robert, I've got the greatest platform for music in the world, and I came to you and I said, okay, I'm going to take 0.1% as my fee for playing music for the rest of time in humanity, you'd go like, I don't know, maybe that sounds like a legit business, because 0.1 of 1% of all the music that's going to play from now till the end of time, that's still going to be billions of dollars. But see, that's what a legitimate business would do, Robert. They would come up with some percent that was like 1% or 2%. Remember when credit card fees were a big deal to small businesses? Were they going to pay 2% credit card fees or 3% credit card fees or 2%, 2.5%? Well, we went from credit card fees of 2.5% to 2% or 1% if you got a good deal. And so that's how you have a good, solid business. And now these app companies come in and they want 50% of your transaction. They want 60% of your transaction. How is this even real? Do you realize it's like we got walked into a prison cell and they're like, here, let me take you on a tour. And they walk you into Alcatraz. They take you on the boat and they're like, the tour's still good. You like it? And it's like, it's great. And they're like, cool, this way. And they start walking you into the prison. You're like, going, this is a good tour. They're going, you like the tour? And you go, yeah, I like the tour. And then they take you right into the prison cell and they go, walk inside, take a look inside. It's really nice inside. And you go, really? It's nice inside the cage? And they go, yeah, it is. And you walk in the cage and they shut the door. That's where we are right now, Robert.
Yeah, and Jeff, look at this. Remember when you just had a ATM fee? ATM fees were like $150 max everywhere you went. Then the bank starts saying, well, no, since you're going to use an ATM machine over there, you're going to use the ATM machine and pay that $150, and then we're going to charge you $350 on top of that. So if you want to get $20 out, you got to pull out $30, and there you go. You know what I mean? It's crazy.
So the funny thing about the time that we're in right now is that one of the assholes running for public office has already held it, and the other one is part of the current administration. So we got a couple real lying assholes here that have both been in power and didn't do dick with it, right? So one might surmise that they're all a bunch of fucking liars at this point.
Oh yeah, yeah. Hey, I was watching the vice president, who they're running to be the vice president. Both those dudes, I had to just turn it off. I said, both these dudes are just talking a bunch of crock of shit. And I was like, come on, man. I said, you can't come up here talking this crock of shit and look like John McCain at the same time. You cannot do that.
while we're sitting here working in app slavery and we're not even part of the economic numbers that they lie about, we're supposed to like watch them debate while we're not even part of the economic numbers that they lie about. Sure, whatever.
Yeah, you know what? It's all crazy, man. It's all crazy.
Look, they know. The problem is that these people, these actors that are put out in front of us for our votes and manufactured consent, they know they're lying to us. They know they're purchased. BlackRock knows they are purchased. Goldman Sachs knows they're purchased. Both administrations have BlackRock. Larry Fink, BlackRock's CEO, was Donald Trump's personal wealth advisor. And BlackRock is Kamala Harris's proposed cabinet and financial advisors. How do you think we're going to escape from the fucking ghouls if the ghouls own both parties?
Well, look at this also. Kamala Harris is, I think it's her brother-in-law. It's her brother-in-law, I do believe. He is in charge now, I think, of Uber. He's a lawyer, and now he's in charge of setting up everything going on financial for him and getting it all in. But it's Kamala Harris's brother-in-law, and it's crazy that we're talking about this, and then in these gig apps, you have someone that is in a power position now to actually make a lot of things happen, to even take away from what we got here. And if you know people, she takes away everything you got. I'm just sorry. She takes away everything you got. She'll strip you down from your head to your socks. But she's got someone in her that's now in charge in a very, very powerful position over at Uber. And, you know, that person can infiltrate and get things pushed over that can take away from even the drivers even more, because of, you know, the connections and what's going on. There's people set up all over the place in these corporate companies, people, that they're tied in like that. Some of these lawyers, you know, who, like, let's take Giuliani. You know, Giuliani's he's got Trump and everybody else. These people are connected that way, people. So when these changes happen, it's already put in plan. We're gonna put you here. We're gonna get this. We're gonna get this sign, and then this is how we're gonna make this stuff change. They all have a play and a part in what's going on, and a lot of people don't even pay attention to the inside ticker, the trades, the who's moving around doing what. These people are setting up shop across America in the corporate realm.
So listen. All high-level organized crime is an inside job. The inside job is done by people like Tony West, who is Kamala Harris's brother-in-law. I just put a link in the chat for the article about Tony West. So this is the same thing. I wrote it. This is the same thing with DoorDash, right? DoorDash's government relations executive worked in the White House. These games, the game of app slavery that is using you before our very eyes right now, Robert, is concocted by our own government. There's a reason we are misclassified as workers and used at slave wages while they destroy our vehicles, while they destroy our communities with car accidents and death and mayhem, while they give us food poisoning, while they let all of these criminal enterprises run without any oversight whatsoever. It's an inside job. The government is in on what they're doing to us, which is why I'm telling you, your government does not work for you. You can't vote for them. You can't give them anything except your slave labor. And they're just going to take it while they kill you. It's a shitty, shitty reality that we have to realize. And we also have to realize that we are, a lot of us, right? We are lower class, aging, many of us male primates. And as we are genocided, as we are darted and killed and left homeless and dying on the street, nobody's going to care. You understand that we're going to have to care for each other, or nobody is going to care while we die. And that's a really hard reality, that we're going to have to care for each other, because nobody from the government, nobody from social services agencies or nonprofits or anything else can care. And there's no money supply if they do. Remember, corporations, employers formerly, right? But corporations now, they're not investing in brick and mortar. They're closing stores. They're laying off employees. They're not adding jobs. They don't have to employ you. They don't have to put their money into your community, into your businesses, into your banks, into your bank account. They can just take it all and go away. And that's what they're doing. They're taking it all and just leaving into the world of AI and post-human existence and the military-industrial complex, and they're leaving you because, again, there just aren't enough humans on Earth to keep their Ponzi scheme going. They bid it up so high that we're now at a housing bubble, and the housing bubble is going to pop, and a whole bunch of us, millions and millions and millions of Americans, are going to stop being able to pay their bills all at once, and it's going to get real shitty and real exciting, but not the good kind of excitement. Because millions of, you asked Robert the question, I didn't forget your question, what's going to happen in the next 10 years? I have no idea. I know what's going to happen in the next year. What's happening right now is world war, and our economy is going to crash. We have a massive housing bubble. People cannot pay their rent. We have a massive tens of millions of foreclosures of home ownership. A lot of houses were stolen. A lot of refinances were done off the books, and people basically have fake home values. Homes aren't selling. The lowest home sales. There is the lowest transactional home sales like in the last 30 years. The real estate market is alive. There are no home sales. You can't sell your house. So all these people are claiming to have wealth, but it's only wealth if you can sell your house and if it's liquid. If you can't sell your real estate, if your real estate is not worth in monetary terms what you think it's worth, then you can't use it, right? And
right.
So there's a lot of people in this housing bubble and in this money bubble where there are billionaires everywhere. Even if you have $100,000, you got nothing. You're a broke person if you got $100,000. None of us got $100,000.
Well,
so
yeah. You look at the people that start their own businesses and they get their business loans, and you hear them saying, "Well, I have to take out this much out of the house, and now my house and my business is going to be pretty much gone." And in 5 years, most businesses fail when it comes into like opening up a place. So they already know that they're going to be giving you this money for you to start. You're going to fail. What the numbers say, you're probably going to fail. You're going to end up having to paying us a whole lot of money. Then you're going to have to give up your home and your house to put back into that. And now you're going to be working one of these slavery jobs, and you'll be trying to pay back to them everything, and you won't be able to start over again.
And they're not.
It's a big game.
Take your slavery job. They're not even going to give you that. They're going to make you desperate. They're going to even take your slavery job. Here's the other thing, though, Robert, is that they. Oh shit! I just lost my train of thought. You were say what you were just.
You lost my train of thought. That's the first time ever.
say what you were just saying. You were just reiterating something important.
Oh yeah, well yeah, on how the people that they start their businesses up and their business is going to pretty much fail in 5 years, and they purchased their home, and now
here's what rich people don't do while they're getting exponential returns to be billionaires. They don't put their housing up at risk, and they don't put their own personal wealth at risk. They win and win and win and win. And we poor people that are trying to work our way out of poverty, and I've done the same thing myself because I was supporting a family and raising kids and all that stuff. We take our own retirement. We take our own assets. We take our own house because we're so desperate to create some kind of sustainable existence for ourselves. We take our own assets and we put them at risk. And then, of course, businesses fail. The oligarchs are failing everywhere, but they fail up. They get paid to fail. What do they never do? They never put their own wealth at risk in their cons. They only put our wealth at risk. Then they sell the worthless stocks back to us, which is why a lot of people's pensions are gone, is they put things into worthless housing stocks that were failing, that they knew they were failing because they're organized crime. Then they sold them back to all the unions and all the state retirement funds and said, they're gone, now they're worth zero. So these guys not only stole your housing, not only committed tons of fraud, then they packaged it all up into fake real estate investments, sold it back to you, and then told you your retirement's gone too. So everybody listening to this broadcast is a victim of organized crime, violent, murderous, genocidal organized crime. Congratulations.
Man, make sure you guys hit that like button or hit that thumbs down. If you heard something good, leave a thumbs up. If you heard something bad, leave a thumbs down. Don't leave without letting us know how you feel. And if you really would like to speak your mind, you can go ahead and click the link. I know for a fact that Jeff and I, we talk for a living. He writes, he writes, and he speaks. We do this for a living, people. So you can get up here and speak. We do it. There is air out there, and we can share it.
I actually clean for a living and make no money off my writing or speaking. So I'm actually a domestic slave. So a domestic slave of the empire, not of necessarily people, but I'm a domestic slave of the empire. I make nothing off my speaking or writing. But I'd love to dream big, Robert. But here's the problem. Robert. I am smart enough to know that any money that I could earn today could be potentially worthless. Money's not a very big motivator in my life right now because I know it's gone and I don't have any and you don't have any and we're at the end of a very long road. So here's when you're fucked, Robert. When you talk to a guy like me who's a 56-year-old economist and I'm telling you I don't think money's worth anything anymore. Good luck. Good luck, friends. Good luck, friends. Money's not worth anything anymore. You heard it here first. And I'm not lying to you and I'm not wrong either. Money's not worth anything anymore.
Yeah, it's crazy. You can even look at the things you used to be able to buy. We're like, well, how the hell did it, was it that then? And then you guys are like doing this quadruple charge now. People, let me tell you, man, they're putting stuff in our drinks. You guys are buying Pepsi and Mountain Dews and stuff. They're giving you that serum that tastes so good.
There's
bubbly
no rules,
serum.
There is no rules. Listen, I told you the other day we were talking about the Stanford Business School presentation with the ex-CEO of Google, a man named Eric Schmidt. Okay, and Eric Schmidt was talking directly to Stanford students about how the strategy for business now is to steal and spy and cheat and create a business. And if you create a viable business with other people's money while you're spying and cheating and stealing, then you can worry about the ramifications. And if you don't, then, the lying, cheating, and stealing was no harm, no foul, and you got paid anyway. They say these things out loud, Robert. This is not survivable when the people at the top business schools in the world are only teaching our young business people and oligarchs to commit more fraud upon us. I'm telling you, this will not continue. It cannot continue, even if we want it to. And here's the second thing. They're going to take our cash money supply away from us because we can do off-the-book stuff and they can't surveil it. And one of the reasons they're sucking our automobiles and our resources and all the cash out of our economy is that then when they tell us it's all gone, we're really fucked. And they can just convert us all like they have to some other victims around the world to a digital currency that they can surveil for anything. And then there's no way to take an Uber right off the books because it's all going to be on digital surveillable currency. We are heading into a trap, Robert, from which we'll never emerge.
Yeah, man, people, it's quicksand. I tell you, it's quicksand. And look, this whole thing, it was not to get you guys discouraged, but it starts off with the jobs. And I have to go ahead. This is not to get you discouraged, man, but it's about opening you up. Pretty much, to me, opening you up to start to see some type of light so that you can actually go down a path and explore it for yourself, do some more research, do what you got to do. Never going to tell you anything that's going to make you, I don't want to work. I want to quit. I don't need this. I don't need that. That's not what we're saying. We're just saying the game that's set up is set up for us to lose.
I want to tell you the difference here because I get cast in this role all the time, and my friend always cherry pick cast me in that role earlier today, and I'll accept the criticism without any ego whatsoever. But it is not up to me to put any connotation upon what I'm telling you, other than to tell you the absolute truth as I know it economically, and so. The fact is, and this is the thing, to me, to me, and I'm my own pile of goo, but to me, reality in our present moment is hope, because 1 + 1 does not equal rent. If I tell you, Robert, that 1 + 1 equals rent, that may give you hope, but that's not hope in my book, Jeff Thomas Black. That's just, to me, telling you a happy story that's going to get you killed, because it's not true. So to me, even though it's the worst possible news I could tell my friend, I'm going to tell you 1 + 1 doesn't equal rent, and everything that you're doing is likely working against your human survival. That makes me often very unpopular. I've played this role throughout my life. This is my role as an economist and as a business advisor, and it's why I have no money and why I'm poor and shunned by the world, is I tell the people the stuff they don't want to fucking hear. And of course, you need to kill the messenger, and that's what I'm here for, Robert. I'm here to die. And so I'm going to do a real good job of it, Robert. I'm going to die. We're all going to die. But before I do, I'm still going to tell you the fucking truth, because it's the truth.
Right.
It's not what I want. It's not what I like. 1 + 1 doesn't equal rent. Our labor, our value to the oligarchs and corporate fascist techno-feudalist monsters does not equal what we can produce through the human flesh and blood that we have and the limited time alive that we have on this earth. And when we see that, when it doesn't add up, I can only say, I want you to be empowered to have that information so you can start to act on it and save yourself. Anything else is worthless, because it doesn't matter if it's true for me. It doesn't matter what's true in my life. It matters what's true in your life. What are you doing? Are you going to survive? Are you making rent? Is this working? And if it's not, don't lie to yourself and say that it might happen next week, because it's not getting better. It's only getting worse. It's just a matter of reality. And I know that's going to make me unpopular. I'm not even popular with my own family, Robert, and there's a reason for it. I'm just not the guy who's going to give you the fun news right now. But I just don't. I wish I could, man. I'm a really friendly guy. I love everybody. I love the puppies and kitties and babies and dogs and my kids, and I just want people to survive. But I got the shittiest news on the planet to share.
Hey, it's like that. Some people don't like to hear it, but somebody has to say it, and it's like that. You know, somebody has, and don't take it as bad news, people. You know, because they always say the bearer of the bad news. No, this is the stuff. It's bad if you make it bad. It's bad if you take it in bad, but it's good if you understand what's being put through your head, and then you apply what you have to apply to make you at least not do it with the same thing everybody else is doing. Everybody can't go next and getting kicked off the cliff. If you know that when you're next line, you're going to go up and they're going to kick you off. Nope, I'm not going to be in that line. I'm going to figure out, you know what? I'm going to go over there. I'm going to go over there. That's where I'm going.
You know what the executives like ex-CEO, Google CEO Eric Schmidt know, is they know how vulnerable we are to this. And that was the point of Full Dash Closure too, is for us to know how vulnerable we are for it, because it's not enough. It's not enough just to know. That's the G.I. Joe fallacy. It's not enough to know how vulnerable we are. It's that each of us basically has to start awakening to our own defenses against this system. Are we going to let this system tell us we're a failure? Are we going to let this system tell us that we can't live in a house anymore? Are we going to let this system tell us that there are no jobs, but that we're supposed to go do something to get one anyway? Are we going to let this system tell us that being homeless is a crime? Are we going to let this system tell us that they're going to do World War III and that we have no say about it? Is that what we're going to do? And that's the question. Only individual collective action, only each of us awakening, and then somehow starting to move toward what's going to keep us alive as an awakened person is going to change anything, because they do hold all the institutional power. They hold all the military power. They hold all the medical and insurance and financial power. They took all our money supply and they went home with it. And now we got no oil in our engine. And we're all looking at each other going, hey, buddy, you got some oil? And you go, no oil over here. You got no oil over here. And we got to make our engines run. So we're going to have to make our own oil. We're going to have to make a system without the people trying to kill us where we survive. That's the end of the story, Robert. And that's the good news, is that humans can and have made systems to survive without kings and techno-feudalist maniacs and corporate fascists trying to murder them. That humans can do that because us in our present moment, our communities do have resources. It's manufactured scarcity, not real scarcity. The land is right here. The food is right here. We're right here. The labor is right here. We're the only thing that's real. The illusion of these people trying to kill us around the world is not real. We're not at war with Russia. You and I are not at war with Ukraine or Russia or Israel or anybody else. We're at war with nobody. I got no weapons. I'm at war with no one. And it doesn't matter who you tell me I'm at war with. You're wrong, because I'm at war with nobody.
With no one. You know what? And but that's not what they want. They want you to be at war with everything out there. They want you to blow yourself up. Johnny D. Cav says pit crew. We say pit crew $24.99, Walmart up to 5 quarts. So he's talking about some oil there. Then she's talking about some oil. Then five quarts.
Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice that after they told us that the environment was a concern, that they're now having us run our cars into the ground all over hell and back and giving us cheap oil changes? It's almost like they just script it however they want it, Robert.
Yeah, and Johnny Kneecap, thanks for that. For putting that up there. You know, some people out there want to know how to get their oil cheaper. You know what I mean? Because they're up there. Someone told them you gotta put this in your car, and you figure out, man, you was lying to me.
Right. But what does it mean economically, Robert? What does it mean economically when the oil changes for slaves are kept at an artificially low price, but we can't afford food and housing? I mean, maybe they just want to keep us working and burning ourselves out while they kill us. Robert, I'm telling you, they want to just keep us working and burning ourselves out while they kill us. I mean, all people have to do is open their eyes to the bigger behaviors of the world, not the pretty words anybody's going to tell them for lies. What are people actually doing? What do things cost? What social safety nets and social supports are there for you? What does housing cost? What are the wages? What are real job opportunities? Stop looking at statistics that are lies. Use your own eyes, ears, nose, taste, tongue, hat, and feet, and figure out what's going on in your community, because it doesn't add up. And if it doesn't add up, how many days do you keep doing something that has no benefit to you? I mean, if you like,
right.
My friend Glitch Dash said the other night, like, basically, like, the app slavery gets him out of the house. I don't think that's a good. I've seen that in many articles, because that's what the app slave companies want to sell with PR, is that we enjoy being slaves. Like, it's a super fun thing to go drive around and deliver packages to people that can afford them and deliver food to people that can afford it. It's a super fun thing for us. That's not true. Anybody, if you need to do app slavery to get out of the house, we'll have some other hobby suggestions for you. Nobody is doing this for any other reason but desperation. And again, the fact that we're doing this at all, it goes against everything our government told us was necessary, which was being economically and environmentally sound. And now we're just burning human fuel and cars and oil and all the resources like there's no tomorrow. Because guess what? There's no fucking tomorrow. That's their plan. There's no tomorrow. They're not going to clean up the mess. They're just going to burn it. They're just going to burn us. It's just so shitty, and it's so obvious. Is it not obvious now, Robert?
No, it's obvious.
Before, but it's obvious.
It's obvious.
And
go ahead.
You know what, Robert? Even YouTube agrees it's obvious, because when you and I talked a couple days ago about immigrants, that video got like over 1,000 views in the same day, which was like, 10 times what other people, what other videos were getting, because this is the topic that everyone's talking about. Even the algorithm of YouTube and Google are talking about it, because immigrants.
Yeah, and this one right now is at just under 900. It's at just at under 900 right now. I'm on the analytics right now. It's just under 900 because of what we're talking about.
Right, and so this tells you what you already know, which is the oligarchs and Google know that this matters. The oligarchs know that the app slaves and the immigrants are the bottom of the barrel, and that we're talking about the bottom of the barrel and the end of our existence as we know it, right? And so even though we're all shadow banned to hell, it's still interesting enough to hit their algorithm, because this is what's happening. It's obvious. It's happening all over the world. And again, who's creating the immigration flow and the refugee flow? Us. Who's taking the immigrants? Us. But we've always taken immigrants. My family was immigrants. Your family was brought here one way or the other, whoever you are.
Yeah.
Unless you're indigenous, unless your family was indigenous to North America, you came here somehow, and not that terribly long ago either. 100 or a couple hundred years ago, max. Maybe some of you have relatives on the Mayflower, so you're just one of the first ones. But like, that wasn't very long ago. Don't get all excited with yourself for coming.
Yeah. Like people gotta. Yeah, people. He's pretty much talking like, look, when the Battle of the Alamo, when Davy Crockett came, there was already people here. If you are related to General Santa Anna, people, there's only a certain few people who are here, who are implanted as part of this land. Everybody else who is here, we came over by force, by secondary force, or you just happen to be traveling in a boat and ended up being here by luck. Not on the Santa, the Pinta, not on any of those ships.
And what is so our friend Yup says he'd like to see the people with correct paperwork. But what is paperwork? Who is paperwork for? Paperwork is for the government so that they can herd us like cattle and uselessly tax us, make us poor. Our taxes don't pay for shit. Our taxes don't amount to a hill of beans. Our taxes are just a mental construct to make us complicit in the crimes of this empire. Our taxes are a lie. They're spending more money on bombs than you'll ever make in a lifetime, and I'll ever make in a lifetime. And Robert and everybody on this broadcast will make in a lifetime. They're just burning it, just literally burning it all day long, because they print the money and then they steal the money. So when you tell me that somebody needs their paperwork done, paperwork for what? Do you need paperwork to be alive? What if you have no paperwork? Robert, if I have no paperwork, am I supposed to be killed? Is paperwork what a human being is? Or am I just a human being because I'm right here? Do I need paperwork to prove that I need to exist? I think we're buying into fascist constructs in our head, is what I think. I think paperwork is a fascist construct.
Yep says, if I have to be on paper, then yes, I want everyone on paper.
None of us should be. Then none of us should be subject to an unjust system. How is that? Let's do that. Let's do none of us subject to an unjust system instead of everyone subject to an unjust system. How about none of us?
Yeah, that would be great. But people, let me tell you how they got paperwork here. That's how they keep tabs on us, man. When you come over as a slave, you have a number. You're slave one. Slave one has a bad foot and a bad back. They put that in there. Slave one tried to run away. They add all that stuff up on him. So he's gonna have paperwork following him from the jump. Now, if you can come over to a place and just live off the land and just live, we don't have no places like that. I wish we did, but we just don't. You're tracked no matter what, whether you like it or not. Now, we wish everyone was, but hey, some slide beneath the cracks.
Well, I mean, there are places to get lost in Alaska. There's a lot of places in Alaska you do not want to go to anyone and ask to see their government ID, because they will probably shoot you. So that is not absolutely true. In the lower 48 here, yes, there's a lot of population density, but there's a lot of places to get fucking lost too. And Alaska is a very, very big place, and there are a lot of people that are lost there without paperwork. There's a lot of people that are lost here in the West without paperwork either. You don't want to be going into the hills of Washington asking to see people's government ID. They ain't going to show it to you. And you're going to end up with a lot of holes in your person when you do that. So I'm not sure. This is not a free country. It's an illusion. It's not a free country. We agree whenever. So when you say we're past that, we are past that. We're past the idea that the Constitution and our rights and our freedoms were real. We were lied to. We were the slaves that they were lying to and using until now. Robert, they don't even think they have to lie to us anymore. They can just tell us now, we're lying to you, stealing from you, overinflating your housing, and we're going to drive you into world war and genocide, and there's nothing you can do about it. And BlackRock does that. That's what BlackRock just does. They put out announcements. They have political candidates they buy. They just announce how they're going to fucking end the world by driving us into slavery. And they know we're too stupid and too propagandized and inactive, because Google can make us think anything we want all day long. We're each a market of one. They just target our little brain and put in whatever worldview they want to for most of us on this planet, and certainly most of us in America. And so they're just walking us right into the prison cell and right into the cage, and they're never going to let us out, and we're not going to do anything about it. And they know it. And so they are saying that all out loud now. This is not conspiracy theory. This is what they talk about.
Yeah. Dang it, Jeff. I'm so glad I met you, man. You know why? Because there is like me growing up, I'm a person that, lived in the inner city. My grandparents were the first blacks to be in an all-white area, first ones to attend a school, owning a business there. My grandfather was the first person in California to have a license to buy and sell guns for a shop. I grew up working and doing all that stuff. I went from seeing the hood, house shot up, being around gangs, but still having to go with, working hard and doing everything. My grandparents were there during the Watts riots, the real Watts riots from back in the day, segregation, doing all that stuff, right? And I had to navigate life from doing all of that. And then because of the education that my family put into us, because they did not want us to be dumb, there's a lot of these things that we are speaking about now that if I'm speaking about this stuff around people who are still stuck in that area, they think I'm crazy. They think I don't know what I'm talking about and things like this. So even to those people, when I speak to them, I have to dumb down a lot of my conversations when we converse, because it's going to offend them in a certain way because of my views. You know what I mean? And I came from the same place. And
Also,
people want you to hide this. Well, I'm glad I met you, because this part of me and these discussions has been a part of me since I can remember. And I'm thankful that I met you, because this stimulates my brain. This stimulates everything that I got going on out there, to make me not be one of those people that's just going to walk behind someone else and walk into a wall that's going to turn you into mush. So I thank you for that.
thank you, Robert. It's also that you got out, okay? And everyone that I know in my civil rights work that got out of their neighborhood, like you got out of your neighborhood to do something different, is just like I'm tagged as a failure of my social circle and family. You, in a way of escaping that neighborhood and some of that to do the things that you do and to live this life that you live now, are seen by those people through negative eyes in a lot of ways, and through a lot of criticism, whether it's jealousy, whether it's just a completely different unawakened worldview, whatever. You got out to a different part of the world where you deal with people of multiple cultures and multiple social and political and economic backgrounds, where you got a wider view of the world. That's one of the things that education that we used to have was supposed to do for you. That's one of the things that world travel, it used to be, Robert, maybe even still when you were a kid, that when people graduated from high school, it wasn't that expensive to just go Eurailing through Europe for 2 or 3 or 4 weeks on a few bucks, and staying in hostels and things like that, and expanding their mind and seeing that everybody doesn't think like an American, and that America is not, in fact, the center of the world. And in fact, our worldview is really super fucked up. Like, imagine the most spoiled, evil, little shitty child you've ever met in your life, and imagine that they had nuclear arms and the power that they would have if you gave a 3-year-old tyrant the arms. mean, that's the equivalent of what we have. We're just dealing with infantile, murderous maniacs, and we're expected to somehow remain rational, functional citizens against that reality. It's very, very difficult to do. Probably impossible now to keep pretending that we believe in Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, and America, because Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny and America were all fucking lies.
Now, you chose impossible. Tell me why you chose impossible over improbable with that statement.
What I said, what was impossible? It's impossible that it works?
No. You were saying that pretty much how it's going. You can say that it's impossible for these things to go on, but the word impossible is so strong.
Yeah. Oh,
so I'm asking why did you choose impossible over improbable?
Because the money supply and the oil in the engine of what was America doesn't exist anymore. It was taken away. And so there simply isn't the money supply. All of these failures are being covered up with statistics, with war, with AI, with all these different things. They're covering up this long rolling disaster that has been going on for years now, since the fascism, the corporate fascism of the pandemic. This has been this rolling momentum gaining app slavery and destruction of our country and destruction of our world. And it's only getting worse. It's not getting better. So now, at the point that we are in, it is literally impossible for this criminal scheme, this Ponzi scheme. There is not enough human beings and labor and fuel and money to keep fueling it. So it's going to crash. That's what I'm telling you. It's going to crash. It has to. It's going to, because it has to, because it's mathematically impossible that it doesn't. That's why I'm saying it's going to crash. Okay. It's mathematically impossible that we don't have a crash.
That's gross. Okay.
And by the way, it's important for people to know that the empires, the Roman Empire and the Greeks and all of the empires that have ended, wealth disparity between the top and the bottom was often the reason. Is that the rich grew too rich until they just didn't even care if the poor were alive anymore, and then everything broke. And so here we are. The rich are too rich. They don't care if we're alive anymore, and it's breaking.
Okay. Now, Jeff, I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna take it there. We got the corporations, we got people slaving, we got all this work. We know people are doing this stuff. Some are doing it illegally under the table. What do you think about the human trafficking corporation that's going on, and how corporate America is capitalizing off of that part of the slave work from the human trafficking? Because it happens all around the world. People end up in places, and then they'll end up here as real, actual trafficking slaves for a lot of these places. So tell me how you feel about the human trafficking aspect and how that's tied into the corporate world and making money to keep it all for themselves.
Well, so slavery is a trap. We know that, right? And so once humanity has people in the trap of slavery, they don't allow them to get out. So slavery just grows, it doesn't diminish. I found out a really interesting thing a week and a half ago that I didn't know, which was people that I went to high school with in Salem, Oregon, kept a slave, which is pretty wild since Omelis is also from Salem, Oregon. Salem, Oregon's quite a fucking place, huh? So,
come on.
A man who was slightly older than me, but I went to school with his siblings, named Alex Tizon, wrote an article called My Family's Slave. And his mother, a Philippine immigrant, was given a slave by her father in the Philippines. And she kept that slave along with her husband all the way into America and into the modern day. The kids that I went to high school with, she raised 5 kids, got up morning till night, serving the kids, being abused by the mother, everything. And so these kids learned as they grew older, as they immigrated to the United States and then to Salem, Oregon, as they grew older, they learned what Lola was, that Lola was not a family member, that Lola was their mom's slave. And it caused them all kinds of terrible. So this is a very famous story. His name's Alex Tizon. He passed away a number of years ago. But it's a beautiful story about Lola. And so these kids, my heart is just pounding as I'm telling you this. These kids, to them, because their parents were narcissistic, abusive maniacs, Lola was like their mother. So their slave was also the person that they identified as their mother. And so they started defending Lola to their abusive parents because they loved her. And it's a terrible.
That's kind of how it was with the slaves, with the blacks. And I'm gonna tell you this: my grandma, my grandma's sisters, what they did for a living is they clean houses for the rich people in Beverly Hills. They go to those big mansions and they clean the houses, and they're the maids. They cook all the food and everything, raising their kids in the house, and their kids will call my grandma and my Aunt Lou and them, they will call them mom, because they were the ones there constantly with them, cooking the food, cleaning up, doing this. They'll go to them and talk to them over going to the parents, but in actuality, the people who they are cleaning for, they're like an indentured servant there. You're a slave, but your kids are respecting the slave as the whole. And as the everything.
So I put the link in the chat for alextizon.net, my family's slave. And again, this blows me away because I did not know this until 3 weeks ago when my friend said, "Oh yeah, I remember her brother wrote the story about their family slave." And we're like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Their brother wrote the thing about it. I look it up, and this gal's brother was a famous author and journalist who indeed wrote about the family slave in my freaking hometown and high school. And so this blows me away. But the thing that you're saying, Robert, that is so terribly poignant, and I hope people do see this story and look it up, Alex Tizon, my family's slave, is how much it is like the domestic help of much of the world and certainly America. That we have these people in our houses, or at least rich people do. I don't, you don't, but we have these people in our houses that do everything. And they're members of the family, Robert, except they are paid almost nothing and they're abused. Now, again, this unique story was very much a very real slave relationship, and the kids had to kind of deal with their different perceptions of it too. And because when their brother wrote this story, it was kind of a reconciling for him of nobody, even in his own family, nobody was coming out and saying it and like looking at each other and going, "Hey, bro, Lola was a slave, right? You know that like we got raised by a slave." Like they're even afraid to say it to each other because it's so shameful. But isn't that just emblematic, Robert, of our human race, that we're so ashamed of what we actually are and what we're actually doing? We're afraid to say it to each other. And you and I are not afraid to say it. I'm not afraid to say it because I have no money and no status, and nobody gives a fuck if I'm alive or dead. And I figured that out. And so that gives me the power to say shit that other people won't say because nobody already gives a fuck if I'm alive or dead. And it's very freeing. It's not very encouraging. I don't enjoy it very much. I'd like to be more popular than I am. But I know nobody cares.
Well, that's when you get into this part where people say, well, your parents are like this. How come you're not the same? Well, they weren't raised by their parents. Their whole makeup on how they think and their morale did not come from their parents. That came from someone else who is there giving it to them. So, that's how it is. People just think about Forrest Gump. In Forrest Gump, Bubba Gump said, "My mama before her mama was a mammy. My mama before her mama was a mammy." It was a whole list of mammies who was working and doing the bussing inside the house, a whole thing. And it is the way it is. There's people that I grew up with, and it's like they don't have a racist bone in their body, but then when you have met their family, you'll see swastikas and stuff. And it's like, how are you? Well, no, they always say I was always at my grandma's house. But they say my grandma's house. If you go ask them really, well, who was your great grandma? It's going to be some old Mexican lady or some old black lady who was there taking care of them. But they say grandma to, just to, it was someone else who didn't think like them. Yeah, it was someone else who raised you, man. And some people are afraid to admit that, but you're like, yeah, we were raised by one of them. Don't be ashamed of that. Don't be ashamed of that. Go talk about it. Your stories and your influence can help change somebody by you just speaking. So don't hide that in.
And one of the beautiful parts about the story that Alex did write is how much he and his siblings loved Lola, and he took her when his mother died. She had a terribly codependent relationship with her slave owner, his mother, and but when his mother passed, when their mother passed away, he took her into his home as family. And it kind of talks about almost the deprogramming of her as a person who just couldn't stop, serving people and acting as if that was the only reason they were alive, and kind of goes through that transition. And she was terribly loved by those 5 kids. But it's just a very poignant story about America and about the reality. And again, as you said so well, Robert, parsing out the economics of it versus people that were raised by multiple generations of mammies, as you said, Robert, it's no different, right? It's somebody that is essentially giving up all their time with their own family and their own people to raise somebody else's because they're economically disadvantaged. How is that different than the fact that we give up our own time and efforts to go deliver packages for wealthy people and food for wealthy people? And if we do have another pandemic, by the way, Robert, and people are dying everywhere, guess who they're going to want to keep out on the streets working? Us.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's dying, but we need you to be essential workers. You're essential again, you're essential now. Essential cannon fodder.
Dang, people. It's crazy out there. And I'm gonna tell you people what they do to keep you doing these things. I got this order yesterday, people, and here it is here. Let me go ahead and put me on solo here so I can go ahead and show you guys this. Let me do this. Okay, so this order here, people, it says $73.61. Okay, so what they did was, I was going to do a shopping order. I thought I was going to be shopping at Albertsons. The first order was $8.65, and it was for like 8 miles or something, right? So I said, let me go ahead and just take this order because I know the Albertsons order, there's going to be a tip onto it, right? So I get there, and then they add on a trip, $43 add-on, and I'm like, what the hell? So I get it, I go take it, drop it off. Freaking this older white lady is there, and her mom is old school, and she says my mom don't pay nothing, she's cheap. We live way out here in the boonies and the boondocks, and my mom don't care. She does the bare minimum when it comes to delivery, even though we live way out here. She said, so I went on and I added on $30 extra for you because of where we live. She also said you did it faster than everybody else and took everything in. The lady, she was talking to me in there, and she was raised by someone else, not her mom that she's taking care of and doing this stuff. She was raised by someone else and goes in because her mom is sick, and she changed how much I was going to get paid because she knows on what it should be. Now, the thing is, they gave me that order. Yeah, I got paid $73 for going 14.6 miles or whatever else it was. That was the total. That's not going to happen every single day, people, every single order. That's not what you're going to get. If that was the case, people, I would be coming to work happy thinking I'm about to make $500 a day by only working like 4.5 hours in a day and getting tips. They do things like that to get people to think that, well, I'm going to just keep doing this job. Now what happens is they go start throwing people, they'll give you that, then you'll start taking everything. taking everything that there is, then you're going to be out there working for the penny, tearing everything down, breaking yourself, and losing everything you got to do the job. I was just fortunate enough to have someone that understood that I had to get paid, people, but they do that as an illusion too, to make you think the money is real big. So that's part of their game also.
And so these again, this is the most evil people in the history of the world coming up with ways to use our cognitive biases against each other. That's called intermittent reinforcement. Okay, and so intermittent reinforcement means this. Robert, if I want you to do a certain behavior, and you know the behaviors that app slavery wants us to do, they want the most amount of work for the least amount of their giving you anything, because they want it all. They don't want the least amount of money. They want tons and tons of money. They don't want to give you anything. So all they have to do is give you intermittent rewards. Because if they gave you, this is an experiment. If they gave you a piece of a kernel of corn every time you did the action, you get one piece of corn. You're gonna tail off on the behavior, and they're not going to be able to control your behavior anymore. And so what they do is they give you 2 pieces of corn, and then no corn, and then 1 piece of corn, and then no corn, and then 1 piece of corn, and then no corn, and then 1 piece of corn, and then no corn, and then no corn, and then no corn, and then 2 pieces of corn, and then no corn, no corn, no corn, no corn, no corn. And you know there was corn there before, and you're going to keep doing it. And so see how many corn niblets did they only had to give me 7 corn niblets to get me to do 15 things instead of giving me 15 corn niblets to do 15 things. So intermittent reinforcement, Robert, is a cognitive biases that we are all vulnerable to. They know that, and they use these slave phones to put us to sleep and use that against us. It's all very, very evil. It's all very, very planned, and it's all very, very rigged against us, and we can't win. So that is what that is, Robert. It's intermittent reinforcement. Now they're even going one further, right? Because they have all the information, and information is power. They have all the information. So, Robert, I can just cut you off. I don't have to tell you why. I don't have to cancel you or anything. I can just not give you orders for 12 hours or for 12 days. You don't know why. I don't have to tell you why. And then I can start up again or not. You're just playing a giant guessing game, Robert. And that's the power of intermittent reinforcement. They could take everything away from you, and you'll just come back and check every couple of weeks to see if it's still all gone. That's how trapped we are in app slavery, is they can take it away, and we'll just keep coming back, and we'll go, but there was a corn niblet here before. We're just a rat going back to the same place, going up, no corn niblet, no corn niblet. So why do they want new drivers? Because new drivers are going to be susceptible to their intermittent reinforcement, to getting a little bit of a reward and then going through a dry spell and getting a little bit more. They can be manipulated. After 10,000 deliveries, you're not as manipulable as the new drivers. And so it's gonna take a different rate of corn niblets to keep you moving, or maybe they just burned your car out. Maybe they just maybe the market just dried up. They're not telling us what the real market is. This is not a real market. So maybe they can tell us anything or nothing, right? They can decapitate us. They can deplatform us. They can cancel us for any reason or no reason. This is literally the worst business proposal in the history of humanity that they've convinced us to walk into.
Man, you said decrapper what? That was a good one. I'm gonna use that one. You said decrapper what?
I started calling that that last year during Glitchgate of getting deplatformed or getting banned off any of the platforms. I started calling it decapitation, like decapitation, but you're being decapitated.
That's a good one. I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna start using that. So I like that one. And you know what? Remember the fluffer nutter thing? Okay, so I'm watching a jail movie, and well, it's not a jail movie, it's a documentary, and they're in like Boston, and they're talking about the inmates there in Boston, and this was like from like 1991 or something, and the prison guard says, yeah, we have all this fluffer nutter activity going on in our jail. And I just started laughing because when I heard that, it was from Brian, It was from Brian Doherty, the Fluffer Nutter, and that made me think of him because because the guy was in Boston, and it sounds like that was a similar accent. So I said Fluffer Nutter. I said, okay, I got it. Fluffer Nutter.
That was a controversial. Fluffer Nutter was like more controversial than app slavery almost.
I was like, damn.
And Fluffer Nutter was actually, or is actually, still, it's like an edible thing. It's like peanut butter and marshmallow something. It's like a spread or whatever. I don't know, but it's kind of a back east old timey treat thing. Fluffer Nutter, but of course it also sounds like many other different things that are funny, fluffing and nutting and fluffy nuts and nuts that are fluffy and whatever other things. It's all funny.
Yeah, so I thought that was hilarious that I actually heard that, bringing up these words. But I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna use that.
Yeah,
see, people, it's always good to talk to someone that has extensive vocabulary. You'll hear words that they may have created, and then you'll hear words like, "Dang, man, I gotta use that. I gotta use that right there." Shit.
Well, so we're seeing this though with long-term drivers in the apps, and they've done this at other places in the world with other app slavery schemes. We know when I interviewed Varsha Bansal, the Indian journalist, in India, they had gig apps, app slavery for domestic helpers, and they just cut them off cold turkey, and a whole bunch of those women committed suicide. Because that's the trap, right? They take away normal employment, they put it through some depersonalized, fractionalized technology on a gig app and a slave phone, and then they take it away, and people have nothing left. There's nothing left. There was never even any real company. It was just a scam, basically.
Oh yeah. So we are approaching
parasites. We're approaching 1,000. DoorDash and Uber and Lyft are scams, right? They didn't invent taxis or drivers or deliveries or FedEx or UPS. They didn't invent anything. They just took advantage of the pandemic disruption to implement app slavery and run a scam on the world and us.
Man, let me check and see where these numbers are. I think we're approaching 1,000 right now, Jeff. I think we're approaching 1,000 like the last one. Let me go ahead and check.
This is the conversation that people should be having with themselves, because we all have that inner voice, that inner being, the difference between our physical body and our actual being, the difference between just the random thoughts in our head and who we are in this present moment at our core selves. This is the conversation we have to have with ourselves, because this is what we face as human beings, as children, as brothers and sisters, as parents, as grandparents, whatever we are. We are at, by all estimations of anybody that I know that has a brain in their head, at an inflection point for humanity. We are facing dangers and things from our own government and the people in power who have money that human beings have never, ever, ever imagined or faced before, and we have to face them. And so it's mind-blowing. It is like the sci-fi movies and like all the stuff kind of coming to life, and people talk about that too. Like, I never believe any of that. I've never thought about any of those things, predictive programming and disaster movies becoming real and everything else. But you look at what we're facing, right? It doesn't matter if it's a story, what that narrative is.
There it is, Jeff. 1K. There it is.
There we go. All right, 1K. So this is what we're facing. This is our present moment. Every present moment, we have to choose, what are we perceiving with our own eyes, ears, nose, mouth, brain, and presence? What are we doing in this world? Because this is a perilous world with dangers for us and our family that we've never ever seen before.
Right. Yup says the real problem is this country. What did you say? What does that say? The real problem is this country.
Are never
go ahead.
100% right. We're talking about the real problems right here. Everything Robert and I have been talking about are the real problems of this country. You will not get the real problems on the news. They're not even going to tell you the truth of what's going on.
Yeah, buddy. Yep. Well, we try to do it. Yep. It's crazy because we've always spoken about these things and just and put it out there. It's just that now what the times are, you know, people, this is what they want to talk about. This is what they want to hear. And we didn't just jump in to speak about this stuff. We've always been doing it. It's just that now we're talking about it, and I guess it's our turn to get the attention and to let you guys know what's going on. You can take it how you want, have your opinions. You can do whatever you want, but we gonna talk about this. When you see HotFacts on, you guys know I got the hot seat and other things like that where we talk about this stuff. I'm gonna be doing it all the time now, and I'm gonna be coming up with controversial topics that's not gonna sit well with a lot of people. So,
you know what I really want to hear, Robert, and I know it's intimidating for people. I'm not going to be, and I'm not going to sit here and try and debate anybody or show somebody. I'd like to hear from some drivers and some people. I mean, Yup's doing a great job. I'd like to hear from people what you're facing, and if you perceive anything different, if you perceive a path to survival and to freedom and to even just sustainable existence that I don't, or if you agree. I mean, Robert and I are trying to discuss these things because we're both very passionate about them. I mean, we share a lot in common in our interests in that area. But honestly, again, I'm not here saying these things because I believe it matters what I say. It only matters what is true for you. If what I say, if you find truth in that in your own life, then it matters. If you don't find any truth in your own life, then I guess you watched Robert and I talk, and maybe that has some level of entertainment. I don't think it has a lot of value. This only has value if you use it in your own life to awaken to what's going on for you. Or you could just decide that Robert and I are both incorrect and that the American empire is truly exceptional and that we're doing good things for everyone around the world. And we're a glorious spectacle.
Hold up, wait. There we go.
So again, it is always true. It is for awakening and for consciousness. It doesn't matter what anybody else says. Is it true for you? Is it true for you in your present moment is the only question that matters. Everything else is just people's words.
Well, yep. Well, people, we've been on for 3 hours and 30 minutes. I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up. You never want to just keep beating people. You leave stuff there for the next conversation so we don't give all the juice out. Because you will be seeing more topics that, like I said, I'm going to be pushing the envelope on some of these things, and I'm going to be talking about and speaking about a whole lot of these things that's going on. And if you're on, make sure you tune in, gain a few subs from this thing. So if you subbed, thank you so much. The last pretty much 3 or 4 live streams gained about 20 subs from the last one. So people are liking it, they're enjoying it, and they're subbing and they're sharing the streams. I'm seeing that they're sharing them. So thank you guys. I want to thank Jeff. Go ahead.
Everybody in the chat here that I can track back, I'm go ahead and I'm following them. I've followed. I already followed Yup and Lisa and everything, of course, but I'm following a couple of the new folks that were in here earlier. I don't see the names up here now, but this is one of the most amazing things that we could possibly be doing to really be talking about community and human survival. And it's just kind of a privilege to be able to have this discussion in such difficult times. And I guess the one thing I'd say to people that I also say to myself every day is that, hey, Brian, DoorDash Gig Economy, please checking in.
What's up, Brian?
One thing that I would say to everybody is that we are the hope. Like individually, you, your family, your local community, you're the hope, you're the real. Everything else, this stuff that is so far outside us is like the 1984 movie and book. I mean, it's on the news and they're showing us and they're telling us about it, but it's a world away. Only our present moment and here and now in our own lives are real, and can we control them? And we've just got to awaken to that. And that's that is our hope, that we keep going in each present moment with humanity and kindness and integrity and honesty and community. And it's all we can do. We know there are people out there doing really bad things that are not in our interests. And we got to protect ourselves and each other and stand together, not divide ourselves, not think that your neighbor cannot possibly be your enemy. They just can't. We just have to all survive together, or we're not going to survive at all.
Yep. Johnny Nee Cab, there you go. Thank you for stopping by. And thank you for that super sticker there, that super chat there. Thank you, Jeff, for stopping on by and doing what you normally do. People, you guys already know Emilia's been back here in the chat. She's been putting up stuff, doing what she does there. I had Yup in here. TFT was up in here. Had some other people in here joining in. There was another gentleman that wanted to speak about the trades. He said his son was in a trade and he has a job because he actually went out and did that. So for those of you who did participate, the ones who tuned in and just want to go ahead and just get an earful of what was coming in, thank you guys so much for doing all that. As for myself, as for Emilia, you guys know what the deal is. We out of here like Chuck Woolery in 2 and 2. And we're gonna leave you guys with I'm gonna just leave you with this video because I want to laugh.
No, I'm recording.
Sure.
No, you can't.
Ooh,
no, you can't, bro.
on
Just
there.
Dix, you can't. No,
Ooh.
dude, I can't. No, dude, I'm asking you to go.
Oh, dude.
All right, if you don't leave, I'm gonna call the cops.
Oh my God, you guys. Oh my God. They're in a public place. You can't ask them to leave. Oh, come on, Eli, come back.
And if not, that's okay too. No. I'm recording. No, you can't. No, you can't, bro. Just, Dix, you can't. No, dude, I can't. No, dude, I'm asking you to go. All right, if you don't leave, I'm going to call the... All right, we're back live. We are back live. I was just harassed by a bunch of young kids. I basically told them, if they don't leave me alone, I'm going to call the cops. So I may have to call the police. If they come up to me one more time, I'm calling the police. The police is also over on the other side of the park. I could go back over there.
Hey, this is KG Sports, and you're watching Hot Facts with Robert Reese.
Let me hit you with. Oh yes. Once again, people, take a listen to this.
Like, so why get personal with another person? So you don't have to be direct, like emotionally attached to whatever it is that you're trying to debate about. But yeah, somebody is.
Yo, but what's disrespectful today? Because I feel like everybody think everything is disrespectful. If you have an opinion, like
disagreeing is disrespectful.
Disagreeing is hating.
It's highly disrespectful. You cannot have an opposite opinion of somebody else. You have to agree with them.
So if the masses is saying yes, and then you want to go this way, you look crazy.
You look crazy.
Like, because we all saying it, but you see something different, and it's just like...
we looking at the same thing, you saying this, you want me to say what you saying, but if I don't, you like, man, what the fuck, this nigga's crazy.
So now you're a hater.
Yes.
Well, with some things, yes, but with certain things that's obvious, yeah. Like, you should be able to like look at something like, this cup is black.
Black, because was it black and yellow? Somebody like, no, it's yellow and black.
Somebody might say, oh no,
it's more gray.
No, it's more like, I'm saying,
it's really white, but they spray painted over it.
Okay.
See?
Okay. Yeah.
They hate that.
Yeah. Okay. The fact that you know that this was
I
white
know it's
at
really
first,
white,
but then it turned black.
You think it's black, and I'm saying that's a white cup. You don't even know.
That's a bar. Intriguing.
And then you have people like
That's a bar.
Him.
yours fucking truly.
I like that one, y'all. I like that one a whole lot. The thing with the cup. I like that one a whole lot. But we all the way out of here. Lead us out, Bishop Snow.
Early morning when I walk through the east, hear the cars on the 5, you can see in the street what this neighborhood means to a brother. So I'm headed down Santa Barbara for y'all to get the message. You need to see Kevin ride around in his Cutlass, well shooting hoops, but always ready to function. Slide to Alberta's for some grub Balboa. Always got the liquor on deck, don't need a soda. Then I'm walking down Mission, but I go against traffic. I know some people wanted me dead, the shit is tragic. Being out the way for a couple of months, but the shit still in me, I ain't never gonna front. If I leave my son at home, then it's way too high. Spot the opposition in a second of the cops. Something about the gang you that makes me do a double take, but I'm never slipping cause the streets got me wide awake. Please don't reconsider your love for me. If I go now, body cold as winter, when it's light, we out.